Hello, everybody. Welcome to spring and welcome to week 7 of the Aegis Marauders League. My name is Moose, and joining me, as always, is our phenomenal colorcaster, Jack. Jack, how's the week been so far for you?
Been great. I'm happy to see some professional leagues have kicked it back into high gear. LPL placements are going on. Got the NA Challenger League starting this weekend. I'm very excited.
Yeah, a lot of, spring is definitely that time to spring into action. And we'll have to see if one of these two teams, Lane Zero Blizzard or the agency, will be able to blossom a playoff berth, or will they just wilt and wither away? Let's go ahead and take a look at these two teams really quickly before we get into the draft, if we have time. Lane Zero Blizzard, we saw them earlier in the season. Hazem, Archer, Neversaw, Verticality, and Eclipse. I, for one, am looking to see what Verticality and what Archer are going to be able to do here in this matchup.
Yeah, Verticality's gotten a lot of eyes on him recently, but back in week 1 when we saw him, he struggled a lot. He struggled even in the game they managed to pick up. But one person who didn't struggle was Hazem. He's been doing well all year. He's been really steady up in the top lane, and on the side of him, having Archer with that Kindred pick, I mean, he can be so deadly with that pick.
Yep, and now let's go ahead and talk to go and look at Agency's roster really quickly. Terry Tinkle, Broken SSB, Dopa, Alistair, and Dunzy. A lot of players that you guys are familiar with here in the Aegis Marauders League. And let's go ahead and get started with the draft. We appreciate your guys' patience. Wanted to give some players some time to eat after Ramadan and all of that fun stuff. So glad that we were able to do that, and glad that you guys were patient enough for us to be able to get into this one. Talking about those bans, Kindred going to be taken away right off the bat. A very solid ban to take away from Lane Zero Blizzard. Agency not going to have access to the Jinx, the Nocturne, and the Vi. So a lot of initiation in the jungle getting taken away here, Jack.
Yeah, they're really smart to take away the Kindred. I mean, even though it's not typically a champ you see first pick, LZB will first pick and build a comp around it. Archer's so good at it. I like the Jinx ban as well, the Nocturne. These are all champs that are very beloved by agency players. Alistair loves playing that scaling type champ. Karma first pick is interesting. I guess it is a flex. Neversaw has a massive champion pool. Eclipse can play it, and one of the things that is good to do when you have an AD carry who's struggling is pair it with a versatile support. So you get the Karma first pick that allows you to get some support, get some damage in the lane, get you the push, but it's matched right away with the Aphelios. This is Alistair's most played champion, 122 games in 2025 alone. He knows everything about this guy, and I'm interested to see if they match support right away. I think if you put Aphelios with an engaged support, something like a Thresh, or go the Enchanter route and empower it, this Aphelios could really take over the game.
My read here on this one, Jack, is that they're wanting to get into the team fight phase relatively unscathed and willing to sack some team or some CS, maybe even some turret plating, so that they could go for those skirmishes for those void grubs or for the dragon. Getting that Lulu there, having the wild growth available, always an option to now go for that J4 in the jungle for the agency if they can pick it up. Big moonfalls if they're able to get multiple members in there. Xin Zhao is going to be the option. I think another good pickup here for Lane Zero. A lot of early game pressure on right now. Tristana, one of those champions that can go from the early game to the mid game to the late game and still be relatively viable, but can secure those kills in the early game. I would like the choice, but it's going to be the Caitlyn instead. So opting to go for a little bit more mid game here.
Yeah, I like that a lot more safety in the laning phase, and the control that Caitlyn gives you over these objectives. You get the trap line put down, and I mean, it is so difficult to walk into a dragon fight or walk into a baron fight when someone's got to take a headshot on a trap. And the Xin Zhao blind is just a really great solid pick, one of the best blindable junglers in the game. And now seeing these lanes in the bot side, this is very reminiscent of 2022, of these, pushing bot lanes, Aphelios, Lulu, Caitlyn push support, and the Orianna Dopa, it's his most played champ by far, almost has 100 games on it. Guy's got 461 solo queue games this year. So, I mean, his pool is deep, but giving him his most played champion, he'll take that any day.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it is their most played champion. They've got a lot of experience there, and I am okay with it if maybe the option was that Orianna could get banned in the second phase of banning, because you do lose out on a really good ball delivery system in that J4 immediately getting taken out. Ahri and Aurora are going to be hovered. Aurora, option to be able to create walls yourself, maybe not something that you want a very immobile Aphelios to have, but they're definitely thinking about this one, Jack. We'll talk about it after we get into this, because I want to talk about the strategy here from the agency in terms of that ban. But let's go ahead and jump into the second phase of picks. R4 for the agency. They've still got to pick up that top laner, and they've still got to pick up that jungler. I'm assuming we're going to see a jungler here.
Yeah, Skarner's still available. The nerfs were pretty heavy, but in pro play, the kit is so strong. I think it's still very available. Not the best ball delivery, but you're still going to get really good mid-game, really good team fighting. I like the Aurora ban a lot. It's the highest presence champion in the Marauders League. It's very, very sought after. The Pantheon pick, I think that's a good jungler for now, can win skirmishes early against Xin Zhao, good team fighting late, but we're not really seeing any front line on this agency comp, so I'm getting a little worried about how much time this Aphelios is going to have, if it's going to have the uptime. Right now it looks like they're going to have to be very quick on the trigger to find those shockwaves, find those engages for Pantheon, and get these fights won and over with quickly, because Caitlyn's range, she can skirmish forever. Xin Zhao can stay alive forever with that crescent strike. Karma's shielding, Syndra can keep her range so well. I mean, this is starting to be a bit of a gap developing.
Yeah, and now the Renekton going to be hovered, another early game champion. Your bridge is now going to be that Caitlyn and that Syndra. But Xin Zhao, Karma, and Renekton all have a lot of prowess in the early game. I'd be very surprised if Lane 0 is unable to get those first 3 Void Grubs. They might even be able to take the first Dragon as well, depending on reset timers. Now the agency has to decide what they're going to go for. R5 here. We've only got one semi-reliable ball delivery system in that Pantheon, wanting something that could potentially go in, something maybe like an Mbessa, something maybe like a Cassante, something that can get to the back line and force Caitlyn and Syndra into a rough spot. A lot of options that are available.
I'm thinking Malphite, they're going Nasus. I was thinking Malphite, you got Caitlyn, Xin Zhao, and Renekton. It's going to be hard for any of them to get through you. Malphite goes in, Orianna follows up. You've got a really simple play, but I think the last time we saw the agency, Terry Tinkle struggled greatly. They put him on Smolder game 1. He scaled up and was useful, but then after that, he was getting dominated by Never Outmatched. Hazem is getting the Renekton. That's a very stable, strong lane, and I think they just looked at it and said, Terry, what do you got in Renekton? He said, I can play Nasus. And they said, all right, go for it. This is one of those games, you're late in the season, you want your players on what's comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were talking about earlier, you do have your playoff lives on the line. If you are the agency, I believe they are the ones that are
Lane 0 Blizzard.
Lane 0 Blizzard that are under it right now, and the agency is the one that are currently comfortable, but losing this one could potentially knock them out of the playoffs. They're not part of that qualifiers that's happening off screen from the other 2 divisions. This division, you have to be able to win this one in order to move forward into the remainder of this season. I want to talk about this in particular because I do think that this was a big point of this draft. Knowing that you want to play that Orianna, but knowing that you might lose out on some great ball delivery systems, considering that Orianna is one of your strongest champions, do you think that it was the right call from the agency to pick that up here now, or potentially let it slide into game 2?
Yeah, I think definitely with the Fearless model, we got to let that go. If you don't have that set up early, if you know you're going for the Aphelios, Lulu, and, Alistair, like I said, over 120 games, like this guy will carry you on the Aphelios. So I would have just locked in the Aurora. It wasn't banned. You get a strong mid lane champ, and you get really good late game, very straightforward goals for that champion. But once you lock in that Orianna, like you said, the bans start coming through. You don't have a strong delivery. And now the goal is going to be getting to the objectives early to set up and get the ball in between yourself and the enemy team. But they've got Caitlyn. They've got Syndra. They're going to be there first every single time. So it's really going to come down to execution.
It always comes down to execution here, Jack, and this time it is no difference. And let's go ahead and get into our Dragon Draft here. Jumping into week 7, I've caught up after my abysmal start to the season. 6-7 right now, 13 dragons total. We've only seen 1 Mountain Soul and 1 Chemtech Soul, and Infernal has been creeping up as well. 3 of those, Ocean 4. So with that, I chose the correct dragon last time. It was that Hextech Soul, and it'll be your turn to start.
All right, I'm going to start off with my strong and steady Ocean Dragon.
Ocean Dragon, there we go. And I'm going to take the Cloud, because I think it's going to be Cloud this game. And I'm going to take the Chemtech Soul.
All right, you're taking away my lucky picks. Let's just go Infernal and Mountain.
Infernal and Mountain, very good, which is going to leave me with the Hextech. The odds are in your favor. If anything, if the past gives us any indication of the future. However, if you want something now, and you want it from Japan, and you can't normally get it, shout out to our partners here for the AML this season, Zen Market. If you've ever had a problem longing for that special Japanese item but can't find it locally, we've got a solution for you. It's Zen Market, your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items to over 10,000 shops, place bids on auctions on your behalf, and consolidate all of your items safely into one box, and they can obviously ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users nationwide. You can check the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, AEGIS, you'll get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. And that's going to be more and more valuable as time progresses, I feel. But with that, let's go ahead and take it to a quick break and a word from our partners at Zen Market.
日本国内発送のみ？あ、それなら全マーケットね。
すごい迷宮だ。あの商品はどこに？あそこだ。でもどうすれば？わかった。よっと。はっ。うん。はっ。よし。
ありがとう、全マーケット。
Welcome, everybody, to week 7, technically the final week of the regular season, especially for these two teams here in the Ionia division, as we get ourselves started with game 1 between Lane Zero Blizzard and the Agency. A lot of players that we are very familiar with, Jack. We've seen them play on stream on Lane Zero Blizzard side. Members of the Agency have been part of the Aegis community for a while. So very exciting match for sure.
Funnily enough, we've watched both of these teams face off in 3-game series against Drop Dead Gaming. Both teams lost to them. So this is kind of, you know what they do is like those circles where it's like this team beat this team, but this team beat this team. We're going to figure out who's really the best out of that trio going into the playoffs. Looking up and down the runes, I've seen Alistair opting for the fleet footwork on Aphelios. I'm not going to question it. This guy knows more about this champion than I ever could, but I think it ended up being kind of a perfect pairing because Eclipse on the other side, I generally see Airy on Karma because you can shield and deal damage with those mantra Qs, but opting for the Arcane Comet trying to do as much damage in this lane as possible, so it kind of balances itself out perfectly.
Yeah, good point. I love that. And now as we jump into the laning phase, we're already seeing the bully potential of this Lulu Caitlyn combo coming in. As Heals is going to come out, Eclipse might be in trouble. Verticality actually is the one that gets a brunt of that damage and is going to be very low, going to have to pop all of those potions. I think overall, it is the Agency that wins out.
Just barely. I mean, LZB wants to play this lane on a knife's edge. Verticality is figuring if Eclipse can just run things, get that low health, one big mantra Q could really make the difference if Lulu's not there to provide that heal. Now, the only advantage the Agency seemed to have gotten out of that because they lost the push is Dunsey still has his heal, and they're able to soak up a lot of these minions under the tower. Obviously, Aphelios with that red gun is going to be able to heal up a little bit over time, but Caitlyn's never going to lose their range, and now with Xin Zhao's here, they could be setting up for a dive.
And they might actually be trying to go for some counter ganking as well. Could be a very difficult 1v1, but with Alistair and Dunsey potentially low, could be a very rough situation as the Wolves are going to get completed by Broken. They're going to be about 3/4 HP. Archer, about 3/4 HP themselves. And the collapse onto that blue buff by Lane Zero Blizzard has now come in. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Archer with the Smite Steal onto the blue buff.
That's massive. That is going to set this Pantheon so far behind already. He's going to be backing. And, I mean, Archer hasn't even touched his top side yet. They forego the dive because I think that they cleared out the minions too quickly and they knew that Pantheon was in the area. But I mean, it ended up working out great for Archer. Meanwhile, not working out so great in the mid lane for Neversaw, as it looks like we do have a pause.
Going to be a pause here, but you know, we can talk about this mid lane a little bit. Oh, there we go. Airy versus Comet. Comet gonna, I think, deal a little bit more damage later on, but if you are able to land a good Airy proc, Neversaw might be able to finish the job as the flash forward. Neversaw playing with fire, and they're gonna get burned.
Clockwork wind up ends up taking it home. Dopa uses the flash, but that'll be worth it for first blood. Goes back, gets some extra gold in. Can even be a little bit, you know, could, oh, well, we got a gank now.
And now Broken gonna go in on to Verticality, going to get polymorphed by Dunsey, but they're unable to finish it. Flash was used though to get out of the Pantheon's range. So that's gonna be one down for Lane Zero Blizzard in the bottom lane, and Verticality is now low once again. Alistair does have the long range one, but not gonna land the snipe. Clip's gonna keep them alive for now, as both teams have even CS pretty much across the rift. Slight CS lead for Archer. Verticality is going to get punished for a little bit of an aggressive back, and they're gonna have to stay and land a little longer. It's gonna be, again, not on the knife's edge.
Yeah, they've got to stay and take this. It's about a wave and a half on the cannon. They've got to stay and take it. Mid lane, after that kill, great components, able to pick up that amp tome and as well as the boots, going to help Gonna help Dopa be able to take a cheeky back probably a little bit later from now with the home guards and those boots. Top lane just going back and forth. You know, the Wither comes down. Hazem's got a lot of damage, but Terry Tickle's got backup.
Here comes Broken, gonna land that stun, going to land the armor shred as Terry Tinkle's going to pop the ghost. Hazem gonna ice flash. It's gonna be flash for flash so far. Do they have enough of the slice and dice? No. It's gonna be the javelin enough to take out Hazem. That is the second kill for the agency.
Broken's recovered really well. I thought that it was a mistake when he stayed bottom side, but he was able to get the flash out of verticality, which is great. Now goes top side. I think they've learned very well over the course of the season. Terry tends to get a little bit behind in some of these lane matchups, but that just means that Broken's got to be hovering up there, be shadowing, knowing that Hazem is going to try and take an advantage, look to overextend. As you see already again, he's gotten a massive wave, he's pushing in. But Broken's in the right place at the right time, picks up a kill, and you know, this is going to be a really good way for them to match the type of pace that LZB wants. They want to accelerate this game. They want the pace to get quicker so that they don't get to the point where this Aphelios really comes online. Because now Aphelios hits exactly what he wants, first back, BF sword, so it's only going to get more and more difficult as the game goes on for Lane Zero Blizzard.
This Dominant is going to drop. Fury of the Sands is going to drop as well. And Hazem is going to win that exchange. Not going to happen throughout the entirety of the contest, but for now, Terry Tinkle does have the advantage, going to be able to get back under tower. As both teams now looking to potentially go for neutral objectives, try to go for buffs, trying to go for a dive. Archer's going to take out Terry Tinkle. The Wither not quite enough slow to get Hazem dead. And that's going to be down top lane once again. No teleport. Void Grubs up and ready to go.
Void Grubs are up, Eclipse roamed up just in case, but I think they have enough information to know that Archer can just take these. Eclipse backing. They are actually potentially going to get pushed out of here if Broken comes down, but instead Archer's just getting absolutely blocked by these creeps. They are on vision now, so there could be a move. Broken's trying, but with the 2v1 bottom lane, Verticality is going to have to sit and soak some of this XP down here, not able to go up and get an advantage. This is going to put the Caitlyn quite far behind, because that's a terrible lane state. And now they ended up just taking one grub, and I don't think that they had to give that in that moment. I think they really could have committed and just grabbed those three. But this is a strategy I have not seen enough of in any league, of just going, you take one of the grubs and you leave. It makes it so much easier for you to do these cross-map trades. You don't have to worry about giving over 6. You don't even really have to worry about giving over 5, because you can do the exact same thing on the second spawn.
And with the added, I guess, pressure or the usefulness of that strategy that you were talking about, Jack, Broken was able to clean up their topside jungle, and they're going to be able to be in a slight CS lead for the time being. I think if we take a look at the total gold right now between these two junglers, it's even in the jungle ramp as a shockwave's going to land in onto Neversaw. That's also going to be the unleashed power onto Dopa, as Archer and Broken are now either as well. They might try to go for it. No, they'll both walk away to their respective sides, and it'll be just fine.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to gain any advantages they can. There's no real chance at a cross map because no one's really making an actual, strong move. Archer came onto the map, he opened up bot side, took his camp, so he knew he'd be close. I think Dopa was just trying to get the push and get an advantage so that they could go back to base and open to the dragon. Everyone seems to just be kind of posturing, just trying to see what they can get before they actually commit to a fight around one of these big objectives. And I think right now, we're going to have to see Alistar clear these minions and get back to base and try and buy, because the BF sword and this Aphelios, he's got the perfect guns for a team fight. They really need to make a move towards this dragon now.
Broken has their ultimate up. Teleport is available for Dopa, and they're going to hold on to it. They're going to walk back into lane. Neversaw not enough wave clear in order to clean it up quickly enough. And now Neversaw could potentially be in a rough spot. Misses the stun. Dopa's going to land the slow, and they're going to be away from the fight for a little while as the initiation is going to begin on Broken. Broken's going to get polymorph. Archer's low. Wild growth is going to be massive here for the agency as they're going to make a big play. Neversaw now in trouble, might have to flash themselves, and not going to get over the wall, but it's not going to matter. They will be able to back away, and the agency will lose their jungler and probably first dragon.
I'm going to pretend that that's exactly where Neversaw wanted to flash. I'm going to pretend to believe that that's what he meant to do. But, I mean, that was just a really poor decision by Archer. I understand why he did it. He thought that it was just broken. He thought that they could pincer in with the Syndra, but he didn't know Dunsey was sitting in that bush. The shield comes in. He gets polymorphed, wild growth. I mean, there's just nothing Archer can do. And now, finally, the Chemtech goes down, and we can start getting these dragons stacking. I think this dragon stacking strategy has got to be such a focal point when you have the scaling champ like Aphelios. You want to just keep building it and letting it just come throughout the game so that you don't have to worry about forcing something to accelerate. So now you've got the dragon, you got 2 kills on your Pantheon. Alistair is just happy as can be farming in this bottom lane. And I mean, the only people on LZ, oh, we got another gank.
Another gang stun's going to land in onto Terry Tinkle. They are not long for this. They use the ghost. Hazem's going to pick up their first kill. The teleport is going to be up, but that is a 0-2 and 1 Gnosis. This Renekton can be a problem if they are not dealt with. They're going to shred another turret plate, most likely, before they can move forward. While that was happening, Lane Zero will pick up the other 2 Void Grubs. They'll have those available very late. Void Grub take for Lane Zero, but I think the strategy paid off because they get all of them available as Dunsey going to be taking a lot of damage here. Ace in the hole available for verticality. Nope, they will back off. And Dope is still holding on to that teleport.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I've been complimentary of the strategy from Alistair here, the Aphelios wants to get out of this particular lane and get into the mid lane because Caitlyn Karma is never going to stop being as forceful as it is. They can always push in, they can always run up, and I think Alistair would be much more comfortable sitting mid lane, soaking waves. Neversaw doesn't really need to be here anymore now that she has the Blackfire Torch. I mean, you've already got your main component. You can just move on to the rest of the map at this point. And then in the top side, I think that this could be a good point now for them to try and flip the map, put Terry bottom lane. You know, Nasus can just soak up minions under turret, has the Sheen, so it makes it so much easier to stack the Q. I think that this is a point in the game where the agency wants to get the macro right.
And makes sense. You know, you want to try to keep some momentum going because you have lost a little bit of that now as we moved into the double digits part of this game. You're now behind in gold by about 7,000. I think a lot of that is thanks to Hazem. If we can take a look at gold really quickly, I want to see where the distribution is at here, Caddy. 800 gold lead for Hazem. You've got a slight gold lead for Verticality. And other than that, it is a fairly even game. So that gold advantage is going to be on Hazem in the top lane. And they're going to finally get some assistance over to them. At the flash forward, Hazem's going to be low. Gets the Q proc to be able to get some extra health in, but is unable to stay alive longer. Now Archer is in a really bad spot. There's a double kill, but here comes Neversaw. Are they going to be able to land a stun on a Broken or Terry? They're not going to attempt it. And that's going to end up being a good play for the agency.
Still going for it right now. I think we're going to be best to leave. No ult, or at least not in range, and the Wither is going to make that impossible. Just everything they could possibly ask for in this top side. I mean, Terry is doing an excellent job soaking up all this pressure. Broken is responding so well. Everything in this team is facilitated by Broken, and on a champ like Pantheon, they're going to be able to get so much. Dunsey, very low. Not going to use the ace in the hole just yet again. Maybe in that moment with Alistair rooted, they could have gone for it. But just happy to keep taking these victories, keep farming up. Has a very, very small gold lead. Now use the ace in the hole just to push them back, make sure they can get pressure under turret. Took a couple of plates there. Overall, I mean, this is a really dangerous position to be in by LZB. They drafted a comp that very much wanted to get ahead early and accelerate through the mid game, and now they're facing down the barrel of how much damage is Orianna do as Broken's in topside again.
And Hazem doesn't have dominance available right now. There's nothing they can do. Broken is unstoppable. Sundered Sky is completed. Low health bars on Alistair and Dunsey, but they do have the wild growth available. Now here comes Dopa. Doesn't use the teleport yet. They're going to find some damage under Verticality with the Alistair ultimate. Going to get some shielding as well. Verticality doesn't even have time to drop the ace in the hole. I think uses it and goes on cooldown because they die. And the agency is now starting to, I think, run away with this one, Jack.
Yeah, now that Alistair is going to get this inflection of gold, or injection of gold, excuse me, onto this massive wave, pushes in, gets the assist money, and now Dopa's even further ahead, is going to probably get the back stopped here. I think with the turret, it's not like they're going to be able to kill. A lot of damage coming down on this Aphelios, but just waiting, buying time, because Archer's on their way. We'll just feed the gold.
Yeah, good kill completion there. Second kill for Archer.
Oop, shockwave here.
It's going to land onto Broken, but the shockwave does not. Hazem going to give a little bit of damage on Terry Tinkle, who has very little mana. Dominus available for them as well, but they're going to be able to back off as Teleport is available for the Gnosis if the Agency and Lane Zero Blizzard decide to go for a contest here at the second Dragon, a Hextech Soul. Right now, positioning-wise, it does look like the Agency has a little bit more momentum there. They've got a little bit of vision on the flank angles. But a teleport is used by Terry Tinkle topside. Hazem might be rotating down as we are going to get an initiation, some damage in to Dunzy. Dope is going to be able to keep him alive for now as we are going to get a knockup. Broken. Going to be the target, but it's Archer that takes a huge brunt of damage. That's a 5-0-0 Pantheon and already scary.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Tinkle topside has taken that turret, like that alliteration there, but I mean, they can just stay up there. It looked like the Agency had a lot of control, had the push in the mid wave, but they go for that little dance, that little skirmish bot side. Now they've got no pressure. Turret's gone. Waves are pushing in. The vision's been wiped out. Pantheon has got to get in here and reestablish because they really want to get the second dragon. They don't want to let up. They don't want to give LZB a chance to get back into this game. And now you see Hazem topside. Looks like they are sweeping through, really trying to thoroughly get as much of this vision out as possible, but they're going to have to commit to a 5v5, and so or 4v4 or something. Terry Tinkle popped the ghost. He's running in.
Oh boy, Terry Tinkle's gonna land the slow into verticality. Nice scatter of the week from Neversaw, backing off everybody here. Broken extremely low, but Terry Tinkle's still going to go in, still has some extra movement speed as Eclipse is gonna be forced to flash away. Here comes Alistair, still not part of this fight yet as the teleport's now gonna come in from Hazem. Could come in with the Dominus and does come in with the Dominus. Big damage on a Terry Tinkle who does not have the Fury of the Sands anymore. Eclipse is going to take one. There goes the moonfall there from Alistair. Going to get a lot of damage on a verticality, but not going to have them go down. Eclipse is going to fall. Ace in the hole is going to proc onto Broken, but Dopa is going to be able to find them in that Ace in the hole shot. Going to make it a 3 for 2 so far. Dunzy's going to try to get away, and it does look like they'll be able to do so. Dragon's still up for grabs.
Agency had gained such an advantage in the early game, but this is why we talked about the draft. I mean, what you just saw is the draft gap, except we are going to see Neversaw maybe go down. Nope, Hazem's got their back. So you see right away, they're able to get picks onto Lane Zero Blizzard. Terry Tinkle comes flying in with the ghost and does so much damage, but they can't actually lock anyone down. The shockwave whiffs. They can't land any CC from Pantheon. And then when Hazem flanks, they catch out one member. They only get one member, the Pantheon, at the beginning of the fight. But the Xin Zhao ultimate comes out and they aren't able to do any damage, so they just kill the front line. And now they're trying desperately to try and get an advantage on the map with the numbers, but I mean, they could just sit here and clear the minions forever. This draft is still so strong. And when we look at the Agency, obviously Pantheon is super far ahead, so is Orianna. Aphelios is going to be stacking and accelerating throughout the late game as the champion scales, but this draft from Lane Zero Blizzard is going to keep them viable up until that point.
And a very late take on that Rift Herald Otacon spawning in a minute. If you give Lane Zero Blizzard that extra life and they're able to pick that up with the Rift Herald push as well, that could be very strong for them to glide into the late game very effectively, as now Dopa is going to get targeted, overextending. No vision there, and that's going to be a shutdown going towards Archer. Dopa goes down, but they do make it a 1-for-1 with the clips falling. 30 seconds remaining until until Otacon spawns, and that's a big kill against Dopa.
That is great pick, great execution. They see someone's too far forward. That's not all right. They go, they get it, and that was a shutdown. I mean, this is starting to creep back Terry Tinkle here is going to be able to do a lot of damage with the Sheen.
Okay.
No flash, though.
Yeah, Terry Tinkle gonna take a couple of turret shots, but if we get a stack check here, Caddy, onto the Gnosis, kind of see where they're at. Can't see the champion stats, but there we go. 366.
Oof,
Not bad.
well.
Not bad.
Yeah, he spent so much time under turret early game, but getting that Sheen early has helped him kind of balance, because he was skirmishing so much, getting engaged on by Hazem every single chance he got. So able to kind of stem that. They did eventually flip the map, and now Nasus is going to have free reign on the bottom side of the map. 2 minutes, 40 seconds on anything, and Pantheon's back.
And now got to play on to Hazem. Doesn't have Dominus popped. Does not have Flash. Dunzi is here as well. They could potentially be able to get that polymorph, but it's not needed, as we do get a tower going down in the mid lane thanks to that Rift Herald. Does it get the second headbutt? It does get the second headbutt onto that tier 2 tower, as Terry Tinkle's going to find Archer and Verticality. Terry Tinkle going to take a little bit of damage here from the Caitlyn, who does not have a lot of armor shred at this moment. Terry Tinkle, though, stays in the fight and goes down. Dunzi and Broken are now here. Verticality going to bounce away with that net shot. Eclipse might be the target of Broken's play. Not going to happen. Knockup, though, landing thanks to Dunzi's wild growth. Verticality once again is the target. Alistar's going to be able to pick up that one. Neversaw is now in trouble. Nice movement speed thanks to Dopa, and that's going to be another kill for the Agency. Lane 0 Blizzard now going to be down 2 with a lot of options available for the Agency.
I mean, so many of those, I think they're called chakrams or crescendums, something that the stacks,
yeah.
Stacks on that Aphelios get to be so much. This guy is so well known on this champion. He knows the limits so well, able to just walk forward with no fear. Got Lulu behind him. But I want to go back just one play before then. I think at this point, Broken on this Pantheon just thinks that Hazem is like one of his camps, where he's just like, all right, I cleared my bot side, cleared my top side, I'm gonna go clear the Renekton camp in the top lane, kill him, and then go about the rest of the map. But oh, he's gonna get caught here. He's gonna get a big shutdown.
Oh, Alistair goes down.
That's revenge.
Goes to Hazem, like you said. That is revenge, Jack. Neither team now, I think, having the option to go for the Otacon, as lane 0 is just looking to reset their waves. Another lane going to get pushed up top and bottom side, as we still have some structures available on the outer side here for both teams. And as we move closer and closer to that Baron phase, we've got another dragon spawning in 30 seconds. Neither team close to being able to get that soul. I still think that the longer the game goes on, the Agency is going to have a much better shot of winning this one.
They are, but they have to execute much better in these team fights. You saw it again in that river fight, how good the Xin Zhao ultimate makes these fights feel for lane 0 Blizzard. He can just go in on anyone he wants, throw down that Crescent Guard, and Aphelios just can't do anything. And so that buys them so much time, especially now you've got the Sundered Sky, you've got the Sterix Gauge. It allows Archer to be even tankier, and you see not a ton of damage coming out of this Aphelios just yet. The Yuntals is still stacking. We got another fight.
And a lot of damage going to go into Eclipse. Archer's right into it, but Hazem comes in with the dominance, and that's going to be Terry Tinkle down. Broken's the next target. Can Broken get a kill before they die? No. Verticality is able to pick up the Pantheon, but it is going to be a 1-for-1 in that exchange, as they will be able to take out some of the members of the agent or of lane 0, but it's the Agency that ends up falling. Multiple members go down. Eclipse is going to land there potentially on a Dopa. No, Dopa is going to be able to take out Eclipse. So overall, a 4-for-2 play as lane 0 picks up the dragon, and they get more out of that skirmish.
I mean, they're just getting so much value out of this Xin Zhao pick. It doesn't matter how far ahead the Aphelios ever gets, because when they see a target and kill that target, Alistair just can't get any uptime, not able to do any damage to the front line. Renekton, I mean, at this point, it was a 4-4 Crocodile to start. The only difference is at the end, he's 4-5. He's just rolling around trying to keep them from stopping Archer from killing the front line. It's not going to get any easier as the game goes on, because Syndra's going to keep getting items. Caitlyn's going to only do more and more damage. The Xin is going to get tankier and tankier. And at some point, this Renekton is actually going to become a nuisance to get rid of instead of just a minor inconvenience. And all the while, Karma decides to get that Moonstone Renewer first, so those Mantra shields are going to be very difficult to cut through. I mean, this is starting to go from a place where the agency is happy to just wait and scale to a point where they kind of want to try and accelerate themselves because they can't afford to wait any longer.
Hazem gonna drop the dominance, but those Qs are now gonna be deadly here. As Baron's gonna spawn, Hazem's gonna be forced to flash away from Terry Tinkle. Oh, how the turntables, Jack. Terry Tinkle now gonna be forcing that Renekton away. And that's the power of what I assume to be 500 plus stacks right now on this Gnosis, who also has teleport available. They are going to be a huge problem, despite being 0, 5, and 6. The fact that they are able to deal so much damage with each Q is a massive problem that I don't know if Lane Zero has the options right now to contest it.
You know, and it's only going to get worse. I know I've been mentioning mainly about the Aphelios scaling, but Nasus is also at a point 200 CS. It's only going to get more and more hurtful with these Qs coming through. I mean, has the Triforce, does it, oh, caught here.
Oh, Alistair goes down. Verticality is going to pick up their third kill of the game. Only 2 items with that Infinity Force and Navori Quick Blades. But Neversaw is going to land the stun onto Broken, but Dopa is there to provide them a little bit of protection. Otacon is still available for either team to get, as well as Baron Nashor. With multiple members of Lane Zero now going on to topside, Hazem and Terry Tinkle still going at it in the bottom lane. Either of these teams could potentially go for a skirmish, but Agency is down 1. They're going to be forced to back away as the Otacon now gets targeted by Lane Zero.
This is the flower one, so it's not too demanding, and it really doesn't matter who takes it down. It's just about whoever gets those flowers. The 15% buff is not the end of the world. Fights around this point can get very chaotic though, because Otacon will continue leashing and dealing damage and shredding armor and MR, so it can get very annoying to deal with. I mean, every time we pan down here, it's gonna be the same thing. Although we do have, looks like a teleport coming in to try and save them.
Oh boy, I don't agree with this one, Jack. Teleport is now down for Neversaw. They are now going to be way away from the fight. They're going to be forced to walk back as Dopa's going to get some damage into Verticality as the Shockwave gets dropped. Dopa's going to be down to very low HP. Ace in the hole, not going to land. Damage going to be protected there by Broken as both teams are leashing the Otacon. We've got Neversaw now coming back.
Teleport was used by Terry Tinkle.
Oh.
So they did answer it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, no one's starting the objective. No one actually is going to take this. Otacon, it really throws a lot of teams for a loop. Tinkle does get stunned here.
And now Tinkle might be in trouble. Doesn't have Ghost, doesn't have Flash. Tower's gonna go down in the top lane. That's gonna be Dopa coming in, gonna get a little bit of damage into Verticality. Nice shielding coming in from Eclipse. As Alistair goes down, not able to drop the ultimate. Here comes Hazem the Dominance. Here's the knockup and the Polymorph and the Wild Growth from Dunsey trying to keep their team alive. But the CC is much bigger on Lane Zero. They're gonna take 2 more to make it a 3-for-0 trade. They've got so many neutral objectives to pick up.
Incredible flank by Archer. I thought for a moment that Verticality got caught out, but in the end, Archer hits that W, is able to jump over the wall and just immediately eliminates the Aphelios. It doesn't matter how long the game goes. If Alistair dies at the beginning of every single fight, it doesn't matter where the Aphelios is in the game. And Dopa's just not had the option to land a single meaningful shockwave. Every fight, it seems like they have to start retreating as soon as it begins. And now, Baron buff is active. We do have a dragon spawning, so they're going to have to get there as quick as possible. But even still, because of the outcome of that fight, they aren't able to actually get there and set up, so the agency is going to have to run there as well. I think we're just going to be walking into another 5v5. They're trying to rush it.
Yeah, 5,000 health remaining. It's actually going down very easily here with Alistair getting the right guns on Aphelios at this moment. That's going to be second dragon, 2 dragons to 2 dragons. So this isn't going to be a Dragon Soul win, I don't think, for either one of these teams. But now let's see what Lane Zero is going to be able to do with this Baron power play. So far, they've gotten a little bit of their jungle camps in. They're going to try to push their waves. Going to go for a bit of a confusing play here with Verticality being the only one topside for now. Eclipse is now there. I'm not seeing much happening right now with this Baron buff, Jack.
Yeah, it looks like they weren't really sure how to get the waves in. None of them were really in an advantageous position, especially after mid lane just got wiped out. Right now, Hazem is just trying to keep the Baron minions empowered in the bot side. Looks like they are going to try and collapse onto top side. Broken's in a bad spot.
Oh no, Broken goes down. And this game is just looking better and better for Lane Zero as they get a power play for another 40 seconds. All of that time, they're going to have the Baron up on all 5 members. The inner tower is going to be the first target here for Lane Zero, and they are going to be able to pick that up.
Yeah, it looks like they did figure it out. They usually want to play on at least 2 lanes with Baron. They push in the mid wave. They're going to get the outer in the top tier, but someone has to be down here answering the Nasus, and that's what Hazem is doing. He has teleport, so if something broke out, he would be able to join. But right now, as you can see, he's literally just standing here and empowering the minions. That's all he wants to do. Prevent Terry Tinkle from being able to push it in as long as he can. In the meantime, they got the outer top, but they knew that they couldn't siege for long, so they're just going for Otacon.
And they are going to be able to get it. Ruinous Otacon now completed for Lane Zero. Baron still available for another 40 seconds. As the next minion wave is now coming in for Hazem, they should be able to keep their inner tower, the bottom lane, alive, and indeed they do. And so they're only going to really be getting 1 inner tower and the Otacon with this one, Jack. Is the Otacon enough of a prize for Lane Zero at this point?
If they continue stacking up the dragons, then yes, because the 15% on the adaptive force you're getting from these infernal dragons is going to add up, especially when you have like a Syndra, a Xin Zhao, or especially the Xin Zhao and the Renekton, who aren't going to build that much damage. It's going to mean a lot. But I really just think that it's smart to just kind of clean the map. Like, if you look, they've gotten all the jungle camps, they've gotten all of the major objectives. They just want to choke out the agency, because when we talk about scaling, it's not primarily time that we're talking about. We're talking about gold and experience. So if there's no gold and experience to be obtained, then you can't really scale. Broken, they're trying desperately. He trades his ultimate for Eclipse's heal. So they are going to do a somewhat advantageous trade. The Baron buff is down, but I mean, Caitlyn's considered a mid-game champ, but if we get full crit Caitlyn and they can't get in range of her, it's going to do a ton of damage as Terry looks like he's caught out.
Terry might be in trouble, going to get rooted by Eclipse, but they have to back away from the turret damage coming in. The inner tower is now getting sieged upon by Lane Zero, and they will be able to pick that one up. Hazem now going in, going to get stunned, but will be there in the redemption, so they will get a little extra healing. Neversaw going right in to Dopa, who doesn't have any protection themselves. They will go down. Huge flank from Neversaw as she's able to make it a 4v5 for the time being. But can they continue to get the siege? No.
What an incredible play by Neversaw. What great timing. Just goes around. They knew that they had the siege capability because of the Caitlyn Karma. And then Syndra just wraps around, 4-man stun, immediately ultimates and eliminates Dopa, who at this point is one of the strongest members on the agency. It only died once previous. So now, with Orianna still out for 13 seconds, they can just rotate around and continue playing on whichever wave is pushed up. Terry Tinkle's pretty tanky, but they don't have all that much MR just yet. Only the Spirit Visage, so they can just continue playing this siege. And I mean, this is what we talked about in the draft phase. They drafted an extremely strong composition, as that was Broken's flash that was just immediately pushed away. They're just going to siege here forever.
A shockwave going to land in onto Archer, onto Hazem. Terry Tinkle's going to get a little bit of damage there, but no, Dundee going to get caught out. Nice ward on the other side of the base there. Dundee's going to fall, even using that wild growth, as the tower in the bottom lane is going to go down. That is an inhibitor now exposed in a 4v5. Shockwave is not available. Fury of the Sands is not available. And they still have 5 members of Lane Zero Blizzard moving forward, trying to get more. They are going to be able to pick up 2 inhibitors. They can go back for Dragon. They can try to go for Baron. Verticality might be in trouble. They will be able to get back in under the protection of their team. So now they can decide to go for that Dragon, and the game continues, but Lane Zero is looking more and more like the victors here.
I mean, they have so much range on a ward here as Hazem, but how do you ever prevent a siege when Aphelios is quite short range unless they have the green gun. Orianna can only put the ball out so far. Obviously, the rest are melee, but the Syndra can push those balls so far, and it prevents you from walking up at all. Obviously, Caitlyn is so long range. Karma can put so much damage into you from so far away, and those Mantra Qs make it so difficult to walk up. I mean, they have to find an angle. They have to find someone out of position. We really need to get someone on a flank, or they have to find some point where they can walk up and get some wards down. It looks like that's exactly what they've done in their own red jungle and clearing out some wards left behind in the lanes. But this Baron is probably going to be the last opportunity they have at a fight on their terms, because they do have some vision down and everyone's going to be here. But I mean, it's an 8k gold lead. We're looking at just about the last chance they have before Infernal Soul comes in and just makes this a no contest.
As Brogan gonna get seen by Eclipse, Archer and Verticality gonna be down to half HP, going to get the Wild Growth. A lot of health going into that one, but no, Brogan goes down, which means that there is no Spite Steal chance. The agency is now going to be in a 5v4 for any sort of Baron play. Alistar has blue and green, not necessarily the best guns inside this short range, but they are going to get a little bit of damage into Hazem and Verticality. Not enough damage onto Baron, so that will be lane 0 with it once again. Still 30 seconds remaining until Broken comes back, and now we'll see if lane 0 can push into the base and win game 1.
Yeah, Alistair opted to go for a bit of a more defensive build with that Immortal Shield bow, but now, like you said, bot lane is pushed in, mid lane, the wave is coming, top lane, they've got a wave there, they just got to help it in. They're about to get 3 inhibs. It's going to be very difficult to come back at this point.
I agree, and that is gonna, I think might spell disaster for them. It's gonna have to be a phenomenal team fight. If they can get the ace, they'll have 50-60 seconds before someone comes back up. And so let's see if they are able to do it, as that inhibitor now does fall. Baroned up minions are now going to be here for the remainder of this fight, as they're going to be the initiation from Broken onto Neversaw, on everybody. Lot of damage to try to get him down. Almost survives that engagement, but not enough. Verticality is able to find all those auto shots. That's going to be 4 kills for lane 0 to end game 1, and the agency's gonna have to go back to the drawing board here in a 37-minute banger.
I mean, they had a pretty good chance there. That's about as best a chance they were gonna have. Broken was able to stay alive for quite some time, but I mean, they're just so far behind. Karma just shielded everyone up, and I mean, Verticality was able to kill Alistair and then just flashed forward and just started putting in so many bullets. I mean, at that point, that was the best they were gonna be able to do. So I applaud the attempt, but man, they had such a strong early game, but it ended up just being the more cohesive composition. They had great front to back. They were able to just isolate their targets. It was so hard. It's going to be deceptive because the damage chart isn't that big, but I really think Archer was so important in these team fights, being able to target the front line without taking any damage. I mean, just a really great team win, front to back.
Definitely so. You can see the graph. It was even for almost 20 minutes, over 20 minutes, 27 minutes, and then the total amount of gold that lane 0 was able to pick up, just balloons. And I have to look back on the game. I don't think we saw a single shockwave that was capitalized by anybody on the team. You play one of your best champions and you don't give them the ball delivery system. I think that's a big question mark here as we move into game 2, Jack.
Yeah, it's one thing to pick strong champions. It's one thing to pick strong champions that your players are comfortable on, but it's another thing to pick strong champions that synergize well with one another. And it's not like they didn't still have some options. I don't know if Terry is a Malphite player, but that was an option that was out there. I mean, you had more, capable earlier champs. Like when we talked about, is it better to just save the Orianna for game 2 and just pick something like the Aurora that wasn't banned? Still gives you a lot of potential in lane, still gives you a lot of damage later, gives you a much clearer objective in these team fights. But I think going into game 2, the beautiful thing about Fearless is you can really just wipe the slate clean. Like, hey, forget about the last draft because we're not playing any of those champions. We can just start new. What's our strategy going into game 2?
And we'll find out what game 2 is going to look like here in just a bit. We're going to take a quick break to set that up, and we'll see you in a moment.
And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
Welcome back, everybody, to the AML. We are here at week 7, and we're going to get into the draft moving into game 2. And we were talking about it a little bit during the break, and I brought it up again during the post game. I really did not like the Orianna pick there, R3. Some of these teams might not have a coach. They might not have somebody in their ear being like, hey, this is how we should be drafting this. This is what we should do. If you're a player like that, Jack, who is in a team or you're in your solo queue games and you're trying to build the best composition and utilizing your draft skills the most effectively as you can, what are you looking for? What should you start doing, and what maybe should you stop doing?
I think we need to see more of a shift into accepting blue side as a really strong pick. We are seeing the agency choose to stay on the red side for this game too. And I know that that last pick is very enticing, being able to counter one of those lanes, but the advantages on blue side are not just having first pick. You're getting the ability to pick on blue 2 and blue 3, and then whatever is answered on the red side, you can ban out whatever lane they haven't answered. So your counters become considerably weaker. Also, you need to pick versatile champions, which is exactly what LZB have done here. Tristana first pick, it was hovered last game, but this is a champion that can very easily be slotted into the mid lane. They can pick an AP jungler, they can pick an AP top laner now. So I know you were asking more so what the agency could do, but it looks like Lane Zero Blizzard heard your question and have answered it for you themselves. You pick versatile champs and you use patience. Wait to see what the opposing team wants. And as soon as you figure out what they want to do, for instance, if it's Rel and some sort of engaged jungler, they want a full engaged comp. Okay, how about we take a Braum? How about we take some sort of peel with our next 2 picks and prevent their strategy?
As the Rel does get locked in and the Sivir gets locked in, R1, R2, a lot of options to be able to capitalize on that extra movement speed, get Rel into the backline to be able to pop in a good Magnet Storm. What now? I would have loved this with the ball delivery system, but what now do they need? They need that extra bit of burst damage. They need to find more teamfight tools available, and Lane Zero now knows that that's what they're going to be up against. They've got their R2 pick. Tristana is going to be there. What's a good teamfight equalizer? It is going to be that Rumble. I'm a critic of the Rumble. We haven't really seen it win so far in the AML, but it's going to get picked up here game 2.
I mentioned it before we even started. I said, we haven't seen a lot of Rumble yet, and when we have, it has been great, but it's one of the most priority champions on the planet right now in tier 1 leagues. I think going into a draft where you're facing a Rel and you're facing a Sivir, not only is this a champ that they might be interested in, but it also really helps because if Sivir and Rel want to run at you, if they have to run through an equalizer, it's going to make things a lot more difficult. And I love the Jarvan slam. Sivir, Alistair, I noticed looking through not only his solo queue, but his past games in the league, he loves these scaling 80 carries, and Terry loves Riven. This is this guy's most played. He's a Riven main. He did okay. He actually did quite well last game. I know Nasus, KDA doesn't always matter. He was able to get farming, get scaling, hold Hazem in that top lane, but they want to just give him something he's comfortable on. So now, if I had to guess, I think they're probably going to save mid lane for counter pick. They're going to say, Dopa played well last game, despite not having a lot of facilitating ability. But let's give him counter. Let's try and get him to win lane. And I think that could mean a bit more of an interesting pick. It could always just be boring and be Ahri because you think it's a good matchup into whatever they end up picking. But we still don't know where this Tristana is going.
Not yet. Tristana can go mid. It can go bottom lane. So you do have those options available to you here at this point. But now the question is, what do these final 2 bans decide to go for? Talia is going to get taken away. What's one way to avoid sort of getting caught in these big damage ultimates is walls. So you're going to take that away from the agency. It is a denial for both jungle and for mid, and both of those lanes are still going to be available here for these teams to pick up. But Lane Zero, I think once again but this time they are opting for a team composition themselves, and I think right now they've got the opportunity to build a lot of damage onto them. Sivir doesn't have any options to be able to escape the Cataclysm, and Rel and Riven's maybe not most effective to get out. Now the agency going to go for that R4 pick. I don't know if it's going to be the counter pick, as Ahri's going to get hovered.
Dude, I said it. I was joking when I said it, guys. I was being facetious. Don't do the Ahri. Jungle last pick doesn't make sense. I really, to go what you were saying about LZB, I think that this is the strongest as the Ari's locked in. I think that this is the smartest, fearless game 2 comp to pick. Just all in, you know exactly what you want to do. There's no need to worry about, oh, in game 1 this is banned, you know, it's fearless game 2, so we have to worry about this. No. We go in, Tristana's self-sufficient because she has a jump. Rumble Jarvan, you know exactly what you want to do. You see a target, like the Sivir, that's immobile, can't move, Cataclysm, Equalizer, that target's dead. And now, you can really surround that with anything. They now have the mid lane counter pick, and they go with the Yone, because you've got the AP damage in top lane. So now, you've got Cataclysm, you've got Equalizer, and then whoever doesn't get, you know, killed by that, Yone just flies over the top and slices through everyone. And I think at this point, it would be smart to pair Tristana with an Enchanter, because that can really tie a bow on this whole thing and make sure that nothing can go wrong. The Braum is also excellent when Riven is rolling in, when Ari's rolling in, but we want to just add even more. Anyone who's got a circular or a rectangular ultimate or CC ability, we want you.
Oh boy, will the Lee Sin get locked in here? A lot of physical damage on the table if it does come through, which could work into Dopa's favor. If you're not building magic resistance, Ari can one-shot some of these backliners, and the only frontline that we see on lane 0 is that J4 and the Rakan. But if a good charm lands, you're able to take out that support before they're really able to get going. And so this game, I think the theme of this game definitely needs to be resource management, because once you pick or once you utilize an ability, somebody else is going to be able to do something on the other side, and you're going to have to be able to respond to that effectively if you want to win at every stage of this game.
Yeah, LZB has picked a very, very simple team fight composition. You see a target, you use all of your R buttons for Rakan, use your W, and just go in, kill that target. It's instantly a 4v5. Doesn't matter your ultimates are down, you've got a man advantage. Whereas the agency have this like 4-1 comp. You want Riven off on one of these side lanes. You want to make sure that the Rumble cannot contest her. Meanwhile, you want to be able to walk through the mid lane and try and find these angles. Can Lee Sin find an insect kick? Can Ari find an ult charm or a flash charm? And then once you do pick off that target, the Rel has to follow up. The Sivir ult comes through, and hopefully she's got the damage. I think that's very difficult to execute. I think what the agency have done here is they've said, we think our players are better. We're going to give them champs that have a lot of skill expression, the Ari, the Lee Sin, the Riven, and then just Alistair is our rock. So let's give him a scaling pick and see if he can carry if this game goes 30, 35 minutes. All in all, I think LZB have a much simpler goal.
And having a simple goal, I think, is maybe better, especially after you came off of a 37-minute game. You had a couple of minutes to rest, but now you're coming back into this. You've got to finish the job, try to make it that 2-0. And I think it's really going to be tough here for the agency to pull this one off, because unless you're able to win some good picks, some good engagement, some good fights, or out-rotate, you're going to have, I think, damage disadvantage and ability disadvantage for a majority of the game. And so I'm looking at Broken and Dopa. Those are the two champions and the two players that I need to see pop off here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to go into objective fights with numbers advantages or with a lot of vision. We're going to need big flanks by Lee Sin, big flanks by Ari, by Riven. But I like what you're saying. Put it on the shoulders of Broken and Dopa. They have well over 1,000 games of solo queue played in this year alone, and that's not an exaggeration. These two guys are grinding so much League, and I think that kind of goes into their thinking of this draft. It's like, let's give our most practiced players something that they can make plays on.
And we'll see if they are able to make those plays. A big win for both of these teams could keep their chances of winning this entire season going. For Lane Zero, Blizzard would love to be able to get that 4-3 stat line up against All In 27. Let's see if they won. I'm looking to see if they win right now before we move forward. Pardon me. In that match. Where are they? I'm not seeing it. I'll look for it later. But yeah, big game for both these teams. Let's go ahead and jump into the Dragon Draft. It was that Infernal Soul, which now makes it tied for the most souls in the game with Ocean. And I'm gonna start with the Cloud Soul. Take that away from you once again.
Yep. I'm gonna go with my lucky charms. I got lucky already, but let's go Hex Tech and Chem Tech.
Alrighty, with Hex Tech, Chem Tech out of the blue. I'm going to go ahead and take the Ocean, and I'm going to take the Mountain Soul, so I'm going to leave you with Infernal once again. As we take it to a break, want to shout out ProComps, one of our other partners here at Aegis Esports. If you guys want to improve your drafting, if you want to improve your team fight synergy in both your solo queue and your drafted games, this could be a game changer for you. Go ahead and check them out. They should be a link at the bottom of the screen, so please check out, and thank you, ProComps, for doing what you do. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back before you know it. Welcome everybody. Game 2 between Lane Zero Blizzard and the Agency. If you take a look at both of these teams, a lot of champions that have been played throughout the season in the AML on Lane Zero side. Before the Agency, you've got a couple of champions that have seen some presence and 3 champions that I have yet to see this season in the AML: the Sivir, the Lee Sin, and the Riven. So a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah, especially, just seeing, I feel like nobody but Riven mains play Riven. I've never seen someone be like, hey, let me try out Riven, except for, honestly, the last time I ever saw a player in any pro or semi-pro league pull out Riven was Huni back in 2015. And this is not a champ that people with little confidence are able to pull out. So we haven't really, in the games we've streamed, been able to see Terry take control of a lane. But I'm hoping on the Riven he can. It's a decent matchup into Rumble because you have some shields built in. You can deal with some of his sustained damage over time. You can also move out of the way and kind of kite out and back into his damage. This bottom lane is going to be interesting because you've got Sivir who wants to scale and Rel who wants to fight. Whereas with those rockets, or those charges, Tristana can do a ton of damage now. Clip is going to get caught.
A lot of damage onto the Rakan, but not necessarily the worst thing because they do have the health bots available. They do have the shielding. They picked up the heal as well. We definitely got to be taking a look at Dunzi on this Rel, picking up the exhaust. Really wants to get into these fights and slow someone down, get some big damage in, as Dunzi and Alistar now going to be both level 2. The stun's going to land onto Eclipse as they're going to try to get under tower, going to get a lot of damage onto the Rakan. Verticality, though, will also be able to get some charge shots onto Alistar, getting them both to half HP.
Yeah, it's a really, really good lane for Tristana, because you can just kind of sit back, farm. You know that Sivir doesn't ever really have the damage for an all-in. The Rel is different, on the other hand, because there's so much CC packed into the kit. The Rakan's going to be more careful, but the only real thing for verticality to look out for is the fact that Sivir can just hold on to that spell shield and use it for when the bomb goes off and just eat all of the damage. Now we see topside, Terry getting taken down.
Oh boy, Terry gonna go for the last hop. Archer's gonna flash, and it's also gonna be a flash from Terry Tinkle, so they will be able to get out with 1 HP remaining. Flash for flash expended. Terry Tinkle does have that teleport, but now a very vulnerable Riven in the top side.
I mean, just gets by the skin of their teeth. Really good though, because like you said, they can just TP back, aren't gonna miss too much. Archer does not have flash now, so it's going to make his ganks a lot less scary. Obviously, it's still Jarvan. You can still do a lot of damage even this early into the game, but no flash means that he's not going to be able to contest this Scuttle Crab until movement by Neversaw, and it looks like we're going to have a big fight.
Yeah, skirmishes across the rift here. Knockup gonna land in from Dunzi, Eclipse and Verticality there, but Verticality's getting some damage in onto Alistar. Alistar's gonna be extremely low, Exhaust is gonna get used. Alistar does not have the spell shield on in time, as Broken's gonna be able to get away to Terry Tinkle. So both these exchanges utilizing some summoner spells on the supports, but nothing else happens.
Great move by Lane Zero Blizzard to make sure that they could go up and contest the crab, but they don't end up actually getting it. And in bot side, it's like you talked about earlier, Dunzi is not hesitating, wants to try and accelerate the Sivir, get her to that 300 CS breaking point. Broken is coming, but Archer is still hovering. There's, I mean, so much volatility in this top side. Dunzi flashes.
Going in, Dunzi's extremely low. Not enough damage on that burst shot to get down the Rel, but now both of them are extremely low here in a lane that is pushed up. Verticality Eclipse trying to go for some turret plating, but Terry Tinkle goes in with no flash. Teleport used. First blood goes to Hazem on the Rumble.
Archer, he knew it. This is, I don't care if they're playing their main or not, it's still Terry Tinkle, and he's gonna overstep. So he just waits up there forever. Waits for the first 2 Qs to come out, only has that 1 more jump left, and just, flag and drag, knock up, able to take it down. Kill goes on to the Rumble, which means that there's gonna be so much more damage. Neversaw dodges the charm here, so not gonna take too much damage, but Broken is moving in. I do want to say on that bottom side, this is where you really see the difference in these players. Because if I was Verticality, I would have 100% rocket jumped under turret. Oh, flash charm.
Oh, the damage never saw extremely low. Broken's going to be able to take that one, and that's going to be evening up the kill count and evening up the kills as Lee Sin picks that one.
Great mechanics shown by Broken on that Lee Sin. He does he doesn't flash forward because he knows he has the ward, able to just ward jump forward to catch up with Neversaw. Really great execution. Dopa showing a lot of mastery on this Ahri, knows the timings. You got to hit that charm right away so you can flash before they can react. Really well done. And now it looks very similar to last game where, you know, Terry, yes, he's getting caught out top, but they're finding skirmishes bottom side, and Broken is making plays on the map. Lee Sin, obviously, early game has so much damage, having essentially, you know, 3 damaging abilities of his 6, has so much sustain with the W's, and this is where you really see the strength of the Rumble. Neversaw dodging the charm.
Going to be at around half HP as Eclipse does get caught out a little bit. That is the Recon, but will be able to dash safely to Neversaw on the Yone. So nicely done there, as we're going to continue to see if Lane Zero wants to go for more. Void Grub's going to be started by Lane Zero. They're going to pick up 2, and they might be trying to go for more here, or they might be trying to hold them off, as Chemtech Drake is also available in the bottom lane. Does look like they will be able to get him, so that's going to be a slight gold lead for Lane Zero, and siege damage on Tristana, who already has significant siege damage available to them.
Yeah, they were able to just use the mid pressure just enough. They didn't have the push, but they just walked through mid. It pushes Ahri back and allows them to kind of make up for not having the push. The top side was so pushed in. Terry was so low. Equalizer's going to come out, but I still think they got the damage.
Hazem, Equalizer there. Here comes Archer. Not quite yet level 6, and they will end up dying. And now Terry Tinkle and Broken. Double kill for the Lee Sin. 3-0 and 0.
I mean, that's what happens when you spend a lot of time in the early game going for some of these ganks. Of course, Archer did have a successful one, as Neversaw can't connect with the ultimate.
Okay, gonna be able to get back. No flashes available on either Dopa or Neversaw. Ultimate's not available either. We're gonna continue to see if Lane Zero gonna be able to stop the agency from getting anything here. But right now, it is Broken that is running the Rifts. Caulfield's Warhammer available to them. 3-0 and 0. They are a huge threat right now in this contest.
Yeah, like I was saying,
as well.
Full Eclipse, that's what happens when you spend a lot of your time early in the game as a jungler ganking. He was able to get 1 successful gank on the top side, but remember, he had the one on the Riven early where, yes, they blew the flash, but wasn't able to get the kill. Then he has to hover topside quite some time to make sure Broken can't gank. Then he finally gets a kill. Then he goes back into the mid lane, isn't able to get anything. And all this time, Broken is farming. And so he ends up having a 10 CS advantage, had a level advantage. So once Hazem is baiting to try and let Archer come in, they just have such a disadvantage with HP bars and levels and items and everything. So Broken just kicks Hazem right through, and now Broken's into the turret. They're looking to try and get a little bit of a dive going. Don't think they're going to have it. And luckily, Jarvan's not up here.
Okay, yeah, Terry's going to be able to get out fine there. As Neversaw going to once again get hit by that electrocute damage, but is going to try to go in. Not land. Dopa's going to land the Spirit Rush, going to go in for it. Neversaw trying to survive. Dopa dangerously low. Oh boy, they will be able to get out, but now here comes Eclipse. Should be able to run away to the safety of Broken as Chemtech Drake was taken by Lane Zero.
And Dunsi's topside now.
Dunsi going to try to go for the knockup. Nice flash from Hazen, going to be able to get out. Equalizer is available. We're going to see some spamming coming in from the Rumble. Even going to be able to get that cannon minion, so nicely done there. But Dunsi's going to stop their back. Not going to be able to land the stun that time.
I would say that Hazem's doing a good job wasting all that time as no time.
Oh boy, knockup going to try to come through. A lot of damage on it. Out. Broken, very much in trouble. Going to try to go for the ward. Going to try to get out, but is going to get hit by the knockup. Shutdown going to land, and that's going to be the first kill for Archer. But now here comes Dunsi. Going to try to land the knockup onto the J4. It's Dunsi that takes the kill onto the junglers, so it's both junglers going down.
It ends up being worth it because Rel is able to make a kill happen on the map. But I was going to say at that top fight, it is good that Rel's getting out into the map. But then I look bottom and Verticality is just pushing these waves in. Luckily it is Sivir, so it's a ton of wave clear, able to pick up all these minions very easily, even under the turret. But we're seeing skirmishes happen all over the map, and obviously we're seeing quite an advantage come out in the jungle as Verticality buffers the Rel CC with that rocket jump. But the advantages we're really seeing are obviously Hazem in this top lane being able to push the Riven off of so much CS and so much XP, but in this middle lane we see a level advantage. We're seeing a pretty not so substantial CS lead, but a decent gold lead still. And I mean, this game is remarkably similar to last game. Broken is super far ahead, and despite the fact that they might not have a stronger draft, they're getting what they want. They have an advantage early game. It's going to be about whether or not they can really snowball, and this would be a way to do it.
Verticality, nice buster shot into Broken. Gonna be able to avoid the knockup there from Dunsey. Verticality trying to be able to survive. No! Broken's gonna be able to take that one. That is their 4th kill of the contest. So for now, they are definitely running the Rift, as I stated earlier. No Dragon available. Void Grubs are up here for lane 0 to potentially get it. And they are going to be able to get it. I think that that is a big win. I think you trade Verticality for 6 Void Grubs on a Tristana that's going to be able to obliterate these towers as the game progresses.
Absolutely, especially because Tristana was sitting on enough gold to go back and get Yuntals. This Tristana is going to start packing a huge punch. And even like I said in the draft, it's okay if Verticality ends up going a little far in one of these fights, because most of your damage is going to come through the wombo of getting that Cataclysm, the Equalizer. Then Yone is going to come in and do so much of their damage. I mean, Bork is going to come out, but Yone, what he gets, a Mortal Shield Bow, and I'm not sure what the other crit item of choice is, but then just doubles all of your attack damage because of those crits. In some trouble here.
Never saw flashing away, so they're going to be fine for now. Orb of Deception not landing from Dopa, as now we've got 3 members of the agency trying to be able to get another turret plate. Stun's going to land, but Archer able to avoid the charm from Dopa, but that second turret plate goes down. The minute 30 remaining, Verticality going to go in onto Alistair, not going to be able to get the shield onto the damage as the charm is going to land. Eclipse is going to be able to get the quickness onto Dunsey. Nice triple pop, but there comes the Fate Sealed from Neversaw. That's going to be 1 for her, as now lane 0 has very low health bars on Archer and Neversaw. Broken is in, going to be able to land that kick onto Eclipse, who's going to be able to flash away. No flash available for Broken. Can lane 0 get out? And it's looking very good for them. Can they do it? Yes, they do.
Oh, but Verticality's on the wrong side of the map. This is the Verticality we saw in week 1. This is what I was talking about earlier about the difference in skill player. He looks like my Tristana right now. I would think try and execute, but nope, Dunsey's here, just completely cornered.
And I don't think Verticality gets a kill here. They will give the kill over to Alistair, so that is going to be their first.
Yeah, about the worst person you could have put it on, too.
Yeah, unfortunate for them. And I think that they were playing very good. That is a play that's not going to fly in the playoffs if you're trying to win games, but maybe trying to go for some limit testing there, maybe thinking that they have this in the bag. That overconfidence could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you did see glimpses there in the mid lane of what this composition can do. That Fate Sealed comes through, is able to grab Dopa, and Neversaw, she just puts out so much damage, has to snap back to the E pretty quickly because of that tower range, but we're seeing here again, potentially setting up for a dive. They know that the dragon is spawning in 10 seconds. They want to just put some pressure down, put some vision down to prevent any early setup. Both TPs are available in the top lane, but Terry is taking so much damage, stuck in the minions.
Oh, rough. Haunting guys only, but Hazem does not land that final harpoon shot. So it does look like Terry Tinkle's going to be able to get out. Flash and teleport are available for now. See if they can actually get out. Terry Tinkle, that aggressive back is going to get denied by Hazem. Back much later than I think that they expected, as Dragon is now going to get started by the agency.
Don't think they're going to be contesting Archers, just heading towards his camps. They are going to give it up. I think that that was an opportunity where Hazem could have been a bit more aggressive and forced a 4v5 on the map, had the flash available. And it's not like Rumble really needs the flash. Well, that's why I need it. Oh, Terry. Oh, put it in reverse. Just missing the third Q there. Does have the Eclipse, but I mean, that's not what you want to see out of your Riven main.
Has a lot of damage on Adopa. Oh my god, and there's no completed item on Neversaw. Fate sealed his killer as Eclipse is going to go in. Quickness is going to get popped. Alistair going to try to go for the escape and is able to do so, but did have to use Flash.
Really well played across the map. Neversaw, again, stopping that back is huge because they're going to be able to push this next wave and then actually just going to opt to stay back, worried about where Broken is on the map. But now that they see the back and push this wave in, that means that Dopa is going to miss all of those minions, all of that CS, all of that experience. Hopefully that can get Neversaw back into an even state in this game. Kind of zooming out here, one dragon to one dragon. The agency is, like I said, they're exactly where they were last game. They want to try and hold on to this advantage though, and they have to avoid the mistakes of last game. And this is one of the ways they're going to do it, by catching people out.
Can Hazem get out though? Equalizer is available. Nice knockup from Archer. Oh boy, that could have been big if that equalizer was able to pop it. Terry Tinkle's gonna try to survive, not able to do so. Eclipse comes in with the save. Archer's still alive. Archer getting a lot back in terms of health, but they will go down to Broken, who will pick up their fifth kill, pardon me, in this game. Rift Herald's now available for the taking, and with no jungler up, it does look like the agencies should be able to get this one, an advantage for them here in the mid game.
I mean, this is where this team comp is going to excel. These odd-numbered fights. Lee Sin and Riven, at this point in the game, both of them have their eclipses completed. Just so much damage coming out in that 3v3. It doesn't matter how much CC Rakan can put down, because they can just withstand it with their sustain and their shielding. And Archer, J4 is a very limited champion, but what it does have can be quite flashy. Obviously the Cataclysm is so capable of winning a team fight on its own, as they are going to try and find more here.
Equalizer gonna pop. Oh my god, the equalizer damage is Broken, gonna be down to 200 HP. Dunzy's gonna be the target, and they will go down. Broken's gonna be able to escape into the waiting arm. Dopa, the charm does not land on a Neversaw, so they are gonna be able to get out. And it is going to be a power play for another 16 seconds for lane 0. They've got a lot of tower structures still available, and the 6 Void Grubs, which I am still very worried about if you're the agency right now, despite the 2,000 gold lead.
I know they don't really have the champions to siege, but you're right. If they get one winning team fight, like right here, even if they get a pick onto Dopa here in the mid lane, they're going to be able to take down the tower so quickly. Broken flies right in, just takes Eclipse right off the map.
Oh boy, Terry Tinkle. Oh boy, the shielding is enough. They will be able to get away and take that kill onto Hazem. And so the agency are now starting to extend their lead a little bit. Archer is there, but Broken is coming in, and Neversaw does have the soul unbound, getting a little bit of damage onto the Dopa once again. But Dunzy is there on the response with a nice Magnet Storm, and a charm landing on Archer is going to deny any opportunity for lane 0 to pick up the Ahri, and a double kill for the agency. That's going to mean that mid tower goes down.
I mean, they're doing exactly what the agency wants them to. They're taking these odd number fights and playing right into the strengths of this composition. You have the Ahri, the Lee Sin, the Riven. They're so good at skirmishing, and you're just going right into them. Broken is doing exactly what we saw last game. Eclipse isn't seen here. They're going to try and pick off Dunzy. He's just going to hop right over. I forget exactly what that sport is called with the horses and the jumping, but he's doing a little bit of that. And now he's going to hit the blast cone. He's fully out of there. Cloud Dragon is going to come up in 40 seconds. This is going to be so huge because nothing helps skirmishing more than move speed. You're able to elongate these fights. You can chase anyone down, and Riven has an ultimate that you just pop, and then bam, you have Cloud Drake enabled. Lee Sin, the kick, is obviously going to be useful once you have that follow-up movement speed. Ahri is going to become a menace. Sivir, I can go on and on. But now Terry is pulling the Terry Tinkle special, caught out on the top lane.
And they will go down. Had a decent stat line, 2 and 2, now 2 and 3, picking up that Eclipse. But Hazem is now going to be a threat in these side lanes, I think, at this point. Jack, with that Leandry's up, if you're not careful, if you get stunned in that, you're completely gone.
Yeah, they're going to burn you down. And like you mentioned, they don't have a lot of siege, but because of those 6 Void Grips, you get one pick. And now, all of a sudden, Rakan and Rumble become the fastest turret takers you can find, and they're just burning this down. Hazem is getting some of that heat generated to do more damage with these autos, and they're going to take this top turret, and that's going to allow this Rumble to get out of the lane. They do give over the Cloud Dragon, so that stacking has begun for the agency. Won't be another objective on the map for another 4 minutes or so with the Herald having been taken, but again, I can't help but mention that this is the same scenario as last game.
Terry Tinkle going to be able to get out of the equalizer, does not get hit by the knockup of Eclipse as we get the potential collapse of Dunsey and Alistair. Alistair maybe trying to make a decision here, but they are on vision. They know that they are coming. And now a teleport from Dopa. This fight is going to be initiated now. They know that they have to go into it. Teleport's now going to come through for Neversaw as well, as Aegis is going to be able to flash away. Dopa and Terry are on the other side of the map, or on the other side of the wall, as the knockup's going to land in onto Dunsey. Terry and Dopa are in, as Dopa's going to be able to take out Hazem. Oh boy, Dunsey's able to survive, and Lane Zero are going to lose a huge fight. 4 members go down, but take a look at mid lane. Verticality is going to be able to take one. Terry Tinkle teleports in to save that inner tower, and that's going to be it for now.
I mean, such a well-played fight for the agency. Terry is able to take on that pressure, but they know that there's no tier 1 turret for LZB, so they can long chase that forever. And I understand what Lane Zero Blizzard was thinking when they turned that around, but you don't have Cataclysm, you don't have the Equalizer, you just use those to burn the Riven's flash. So you're not going to be able to turn around a fight just with the Fate Sealed. You have to have all of those things, otherwise your damage takes so long to get out. So, and not even counting the fact that the Tristana wasn't even there. So I think that that was an incredible decision by the agency, extremely well executed. And now, some of these champions that we talked about, you know, having mostly pick potential and mostly needing skill expression to be played well, once you have this much gold, it really doesn't matter. A 7k advantage across the board, but Lee Sin has 2 completed items. Riven has 2 completed items. The Ahri has 2 completed items and a 10-stack Medjay. Sivir is 1 item away from really hitting that breaking point, so it's getting scarier and scarier.
Indeed. And now Neversaw is going to get caught out again. Dopa's on a rampage with a 14 sacks Medjay and a build that can carry this game with that cosmic drive, with the malignance. And as that's happening, Terry Tinkle's going to go down, but they are going to be able to take out Hazem there. Can Terry Tinkle get this 3v1? Knockup's landing, the sun's gonna land. Terry Tinkle is doing work, but will eventually go down.
Oh my god, I mean, that is the difference between your average Riven player and a main. Knew exactly how much damage they had, knew exactly how to space out those abilities, utilizing the Sundered Sky to the best ability, able to pick up a kill. And I mean, that's the new meta. If you've been watching any Los Ratones, then you know that if the top laner is able to get the wave and get a kill, that's a good death. Totally worth it. Back is going to get stopped by Archer. Might seem insignificant, but a minute and 20 on Baron, a minute and 28 on the Dragon. That is tempo, that is time that this Jarvan is not going to be able to get back to base. He has no camps up, so just, I mean, stuff like that, little stuff like that is how team comps built around these pick champs win games, is when you have time on the map where you are uncontested. As you see, every single one of the players on lane 0B is either in the topside blue jungle doing nothing or bottom lane getting a wave. So that is invaluable time to set up around this dragon.
Hazem in trouble. Going to be able to get away from the Magnet Storm, but does end up getting hit by the part of it. Dopa is unstoppable and a menace right now. I don't know what Lane Zero is going to be able to do to come back from this one, especially with almost a 10,000 gold lead for the agency.
I mean, it gets so difficult because if you have Terry Tinkle on the side lane, so you can't even really try for a 5v5. They're going to flash forward.
And they are going to try to go against Terry Tinkle. Terry Tinkle, and once again, when you think that Riven is out, they are able to make it a 1-for-1. And now we've got the push in the bottom lane. The agency could go for an inhibitor. Bot side, there is no response quite yet from lane 0 as they have to go for the backs. Baron Nashor has spawned, but that's not really a priority right now. And that is going to be an exposed inhibitor in the bottom lane.
I mean, I am so impressed. TB flank, long flank. They don't have the Cataclysm. They do have the Rumble ultimate. He isn't going to go for it. Just wanted to get out on the map. I think that might have been called off as he did it. I am so impressed with the macro of the agency. They're overloading the side lane so well. You see Hasm is too far extended. Go get the kill. Now you've got odd numbers on the map. Terry Tinkle able to pick up a member after every single kill. So good.
Dunsey going to go for a huge Magnet Storm onto 3. Equalizer's going to... Broken is dominating, going to be able to take out Verticality. That's damage now gone. Dopa goes in, is going to find the charm on Archer. Archer goes down. Dopa's going to get another stack of that Spirit Rush. Is going to go in again. Eclipse and Neversaw now going to be on the chase. Dopa's going to miss that charm. Neversaw's going to get hit by the Q from Lee Sin and is now going to be hit in the Soul Unbound. Can the agency finish this off? Terry Tinkle's going to take out Neversaw, and this appears to be a Game 3 situation. The agency turning this series around. Maybe not quite yet, as Terry Tinkle dies. A 5, 6, and 6 stat line for now. Do they decide to go for the end here?
I mean, no equalizer, so they're not going to be able to kill this lane quickly. They are going to back off. It is so much less worth it to kill the Nexus towers now that they respawn. You still have Baron on the map. You don't even really need to go rush it right away. You can just reset. I'm sure they got so much gold getting those kills. Eclipse is doing his best to stop the backs. But, I mean... so impressed with the execution, with the decision making. Just Dunsey, I thought that he was overextending just a little bit going for that play, but able to just hold on to them long enough so to make sure that they can follow up over time. They are pushing off all these backs, which is very, very smart. You want to try and extend the amount of time you have control on the map. And they've got a lot of vision down now so that Baron cannot be uncontested, at least vision-wise. They have to find a 5v5 because that's the only way the team composition for LZB operates. But if this gets caught out now, they could be in a lot of trouble. This is the W. Dope is going for it. So much damage. Equalizer comes down. Now, I mean, I don't know how you contest the Baron now.
I don't know. I don't know how you end up winning this game at this point. We might not even get a chance to go for that 5v5, Jack, as Alistair is now at that, almost at that 300 CS breaking point that you were talking about. But the big win here is Dopa on this Ahri. I wanted Dopa to perform. I wanted Broken to perform, and they did exactly that. Now, Terry Tinkle's going to go into the 2v3, and I think they might be able to win this one. If they stop getting knocked up, they're going to get a little bit of damage back. They're going to be able to get the stun, not landing the ultimate that I think that they were looking for, so they will go down as the rest of the agency are now going to look to go for another kit onto another tower. Alistair's going to go into a rampage. That's going to be Broken being godlike, and that should be GGWP for game 2.
I mean, 2 members needed to kill Terry means 2 fewer members available to defend the base. I think that is going to be game as well. I've got my Dopa apology sheet filled out. I doubted the Ahri pick. He made me look like a fool. 25 stacks on the Medjais, 5-0-12. Broken, 10-1-14. What an incredible confidence builder. You lose game 1 because of an awkward draft and some mispositioning in the mid game, and now you pick a comp that's just literally, we're better players than you, we're going to get better champions with skilled expression, and we're just going to beat you.
And in a series that Lane Zero wants to win, must win, if oh my goodness, it's all in 27. It takes their win here in week 5, or in week 7, pardon me, against Big Chiller's Frosted Eclipse. If they lose this, they're out. If they win, they're in. So they need to win game 3 here. But they do get that side selection. They do get to go back to the drawing board. But I think just overall, very impressive performance coming in from the agency squad. They put in huge work.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to... Well, first I should continue to praise the agency and the performance they put on. I mean, they did not flinch after that game 1. They did the exact same strategy. They've said, we've got Broken, we've got Dopa. Alistair is a great insurance package. Dunzi is such a playmaker. Terry, let's give him comfort so he can get through this. Let him show off what he can do on the Riven. Let's give more, options as to what these champions can do early game, and they will just carry us through. But going to LZB, I really don't think that the draft was the problem. They fell too far behind and they couldn't find an opportunity to utilize what they picked. I'm hoping that they stick onto the blue side and just, like I said after game 2, you wipe the slate clean, you're going on to game 3, you still have a lot of junglers available, a lot of mid laners available, there's a lot of winning matchups in the top lane you can get, and bottom lane, we still have a ton of stuff available. So I don't want to see too much overcorrection.
I think that maybe the overcorrection that I would go for would be, or not the overcorrection, but I think the correction that you need to be looking at is capitalizing on moments where you feel like you have the advantage. And one thing that I think that I really needs to be pointed out is I think that there were a lot of moments that players on both sides holding a lot of gold and going for, and I think that that is due to these really aggressive backs that we're seeing going beyond the limits of the tower and then getting denied by it, which means that you might have to stay for another wave. You might not be able to get the back that you're looking for, which then could disrupt your teleport timers. I want to see better utilization of going back to base so that you're able to be at these critical moments a little bit better as we move into game 3. And we'll move into game 3 in just a moment, folks. See you guys soon. Welcome back, everybody. We are now here for game 3 of this week 7 matchup. If you guys are in the AML general chat, you're seeing the updates from Lane Zero, their chances of making it into the postseason. They've got some options now as they were able to win game 1, but falling short here in game 2 is definitely going to put them in the hot seat. As we move into game 3, 20 champions now banned. We've seen different playstyles from both sides. The agency going balls to the wall in game 2, taking it and putting us into this game 3 situation. Jack, what do you think of the series?
I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. We're getting kind of both philosophies when it comes to League of Legends and drafting. You had the first game where it's like, let's draft a really simple comp, draft a really simple front to back, and we'll execute well. And then in game 2, what ends up winning is the agency just saying, nope, we've got better players. They're going to perform better. They're going to execute better. Let's give them champs that are capable of doing that. And now, in this game 3, not only do you have the 20 champions that are going to be banned from Fearless, you've got whatever bans come out. They can start to really target and change up. I think we've had nearly identical bans on both sides for each game. I remember seeing the Vi is out, the Jinx is out, the Zyra's been out. So now you can kind of switch stuff up and say, you know what? I don't like how Dope has been playing so far. I really want to limit their ability to take over the game. Let's just ban out some mid champs. They're broken. Let's say they try and go for like Nocturne, Wukong. He plays a lot of Skarner. Like, let's just make sure this guy is on his least comfortable champion. We're already seeing a difference. Lane Zero Blitz or Lane Zero Blizzard is on red side now.
Yeah, going to be on red side, going to have the final say, opting to go for that side selection comparatively than what we saw in game 2, where the agency decided to go for red side. So both teams opting for red side here. I've criticized the agency's draft so far in this series, but they were really able to prove me wrong with their individual prowess on some of these champions and their ability to really gather in the mid game and take some good hits against Lane Zero, but unfortunately it was not enough. They ended up falling short. Lane Zero's ability to be able to just pop off with their champions is going to come in. I'm sorry, that was game 1, pardon me. Agency popping off with their champions that they were very good at individually. As now we move into game 2, both ADs potentially going to get locked in immediately. Varus, very solid B1 pick.
Yep, very solid, very standard blind pick. One of the strongest characters in the game, is able to go that on hit build, is able to go the lethality build, has a lot of options, has a lot of safety with the range. Ezreal is the typical pick into it. And as we go into this draft, you know, you want to show as little as possible, so you want to match whatever they're showing you and then pick up your next most valuable blind. I think Ezreal, and then maybe grabbing a jungler right away, as we see the Zyra ban, the Kindred ban, Gwenkin jungle, Skarner, Nocturne. Like, they're already pinching this pool a lot. That on top of the 4 champs we already have banned, I think now would also be a good opportunity to maybe try. I mean, there's not a lot of AD mids left, but if you wanted to grab an AP jungler, you could. I think this is the best thing, though. Grab the Vi. It's the last really remaining super strong blindable jungle pick. Other than Vi, I mean, what's left is, I gotta scroll down and down on our presence to see. But I think for a red side opening, I think this is really smart. And I wanted to get the number. Red side in the AML has a 42.5% win rate. Yet I feel like every time we cast, every team is picking it.
Yeah, a lot of these teams really opted to go for that one as Rek'Sai gets locked in. I actually really like Rek'Sai against the Vi. A lot of ways to be able to avoid some of that initiation damage, and then you're able to get into the backline yourself. That could be a really potent strategy here to go against the Ezreal, and maybe to go against a mobile mage that Lane Zero is trying to go for. Not really popping off on the Yone Neversaw was, but they do have an Azir. They do have some of these other backline artillery champions coming into fruition, as the agency is also going to pick up the Jax. That is a menace in so many different forms.
You know, if you're very confident on this champion, it is blindable. You can take it up top. There are some matchups that are very, very difficult, but So, the main matchup I always think of as being difficult for Jax is the Gwen, but since that's banned away, it makes it a lot safer. I think right now, you're probably going to want to grab something safe mid lane, and the read in my mind, Azir comes in. Now you have some insurance. Ezreal's going to be able to bridge, because you get the Triforce, you get the Manamune, he starts doing so much damage. Vi, at some point, Vi just becomes a CC bot, but early game, she's such a menace. And the Azir is what you have in your back pocket is like, okay, this goes 35, 30, 30, 35, 40. That's when the Azir starts doing a lot. And when you're facing off against a Rek'Sai Jax that's already quite low range, and Azir thrives in these situations. I want to say one thing quick about the Rek'Sai. I think this is the beauty of Fearless, because you've got, in total, you have the 4 from the Fearless, you've got 2 jungle bans on each side. And so you've got a champ like Rek'Sai that she has a ton available to her in her kit. Is it that there are other champions that have more? That's why you don't see it early. But now with Fearless, you get to this point in game 3 where it's like, okay, we need an AD jungler that can get into the backline. Rek'Sai can do just that.
As Malphite gets taken away, Agency worried about that, and I think understandably so. Lane 0, Ezreal and Azir need a little bit of time to ramp up. So are we going to be seeing a little bit more early game top side here for Lane 0 to pair up with that Vi? The Agency has really been, got all 6 Void Grubs, I believe, in game 2, but wasn't really able to capitalize on that. Lane 0, however, with 3 Void Grubs, were able to get some siege damage, maybe a couple of extra turret plates before they went off at that 14 minutes. But I think the main thing that we're looking at here is that both games went 30 minutes plus, as you were talking about, Jack. And I think the expectation is that this one is going to be the same. Do both these teams decide to opt for some late game powerhouses later on in this draft? And that does appear to be the bans that we're seeing with the Pyke, with the Talia, with the Veigar, and even with the Malphite.
Yeah, I think picking Braum here would be very smart. Gives you a lot of insurance, gives you a strong lane. They are going to lock Dr. Mundo. So that gives you a lot of front line. And I think when we're talking about... Okay, maybe a little. When you're talking about a comp that wants to deal with low engage champs that still want to jump in and dive, but they don't really have the facilitation, Mundo does a very good job of withstanding a lot of that. And I think that Braum would be a better option. Alistar will be the lock. Mundo, he's got that passive. He can just eat it. If Alistar wants to W into him and headbutt, he'll just tank it and not move anywhere. So I think Mundo does a very good job of stemming a lot of what the Agency want to do. And also, it's a pretty safe lane into the Jax. You're not doing a ton of auto attacking. It's mostly poke with the cleavers. He can sustain a lot. I still do, though, like the Agency comp, and I love the Rise. Good lane into Azir, the same scaling properties, gives you that realm warp, so he's able to get all of these champions that want to dive right into the middle of the comp away in. And he can just send that. Jack's got Counter-Strike. Rek'Sai, she can burrow underground. They don't care if they're right in the middle of everyone. They have ways to maneuver around that. So Rise can kind of send that in and then move himself out of it to walk up. I really like what they're setting up. LZB is going to pick up the Braum in the end. So they did like the idea. They just wanted to wait and see a little bit more. But I think it's interesting here in this game 3. It really feels like both teams got exactly what they wanted.
Exactly what they wanted? Yes. And I also want to point out the theming on the Agency side, going through purple lineup there. Love to see it. Probably not intentional. The Rise, I think, is going to be the big kicker here, because if you're able to find good flanks, if you're able to get away from some of these fights, try to not get away, but if you're able to get out of a lane and go towards one of these side lanes and battle for a skirmish that if you eventually win, that means you get the neutral objective that is there. I think that can be big opportunities for them. So I am going to look to see what I think arguably the most consistent player on the Agency squad is going to be able to do with this Rise. And I want to see those early realm warps coming in clutch here.
Yeah, really has to get out on the map. I remember during that roaming mid meta, Ryze became one of the strongest picks because even before so, he's able to clear waves so quickly that he can just get out onto the map. And when we're talking about, you know, a Jax lane into Mundo, that Counter-Strike can lock you down for a long time, and he can do a lot of damage over some trades. And then in the bottom lane too, and having the Varus ultimate, even before level 6, if Varus just has that E, he can slow. The Alistar obviously packs so much CC even at level 2. So Ryze is going to have the opportunity. And meeting in the jungle, the Rek'Sai doesn't have a ton of skirmish power because she's so limited to only 2 abilities, but if Ryze can rotate quickly, Ryze and Rek'Sai are a way better mid-jungle duo early than Azir Vi.
And I hate to say it, but if I haven't really been seeing a lot of that early game pressure really succeeding much in these first 2 games. Even in game 2, the gold lead didn't really start ballooning until 18, 19 minutes. So they're gonna have to change the trajectory that we've been seeing so far in this series for us to find out if maybe some of this early game power that is picked up here for the agency in the form of Broken, in the form of even Dunzi and Terry Tinkle, if they're able to find some good skirmishes, it could be big for them, is able to pay off. But let's go ahead and jump into our final Dragon Draft of the night. We are currently 1-1 in our series, as it was a Cloud Soul in game 2, which means you get to go first.
You know, I'm going to break the mold. We've been seeing it a lot early. I'm going to go Chemtech.
Chemtech.
We've seen it early in both games.
I like it. I like it. I think we're going to see Infernal again. So I'm going to go Infernal, and I'm going to go back to Cloud.
Right. I think I'm going to grab Hextech, and let's go back to Old Faithful in Ocean.
Old Faithful in Ocean. You know, interestingly enough, we saw it 4 times in the first 2 weeks of the league, and we've yet to see it. At least while I've been casting. We're week 7 now, 5 weeks without an Ocean Soul. So fun stuff ahead, fun stuff coming up, folks. So please make sure that you are ready for the finale of this very pivotal series for both teams, especially for Lane Zero. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back, everybody. We are now here in the Game 3 situation for Lane 0 Blizzard and the Agency. A lot riding on this game for the Agency, as I've talked about again and again and again. Really need to win this one. And for Lane 0, for both these teams, really want to win this one, really need to win this one. And we're going to get started with some aggressive positioning coming in from Lane 0. They will back away. No one's really going in versus any warding yet. No vision at this point.
Yep. No one wants to make a mistake at this point. Braum has such a good level 1, but Dunsey on this Alistar pick able to just walk through. You know, no real... I'm surprised we didn't get any cowbell there, but that just shows you how tense everybody is. I do like in this game 3, I know that this isn't a game 5, so we're not getting like 40 champs deep, but we do see some interesting picks. You talk about in the first game some newer champions, but I haven't seen a Mundo, haven't seen a Rek'Sai yet. And you see everyone is really limit testing here, not only with their positioning, but also willing to take some more trades and fight for some deep vision. They know Archer's starting topside, which means that Agency bot laners can play a bit safer in about a minute because they know that the roam is going to be happening. Hazem just tanks that Counter-Strike, doesn't care at all. Good positioning early by Terry Tinkle, though, to make sure that he can hold control of this lane.
And the early game, I feel like, for both teams in the bottom lane has been so explosive. They've been trying to go for a lot of damage early on. But this time, Lane 0 has a really strong bottom lane start with Eclipse having that winner's bite. You follow it up with Verticality that's going to be able to, I think, possibly do big plays here with that. And the Varus on the other side, if they're able to land a good piercing arrow, that could be health of half of Verticality's health. So I'm looking to see what Unbreakable is going to do from Eclipse, who I don't know I don't think that they've had the best series so far.
Yeah, the term I would use is low impact. I feel like we haven't really had a situation past that Lulu performance where there was a ton of focus being put onto that support role that can be so game changing. Obviously, Lulu doesn't have, isn't the most difficult to wield, but is very important and can provide so much to your team. But now on the Braum, it's another champion that kind of isn't very noticed when they do well, but I personally believe that Braum is one of the strongest champions in the game in a competitive format because of the amount of defensive prowess. The passive is so strong in so many fights, especially into a lot of melee champions. It's just such a strong champion when you have the ability to communicate with your teammates.
So get in the top side. Hazem going to be taking a lot of damage here, but does get a little bit of health back. Terry Tinkle now could be in trouble. Cleaver's going to drop. Flash forward, first blood. Terry Tinkle didn't see that coming.
This man's got a PhD in First Bloods. That's why they call him Dr. Mundo. And I mean, the confidence in this lane in a Game 3 situation, especially after last game where you kind of got styled on by Terry, to just know if I time this auto right, there's not going to be time for him to flash react or ward hop or anything. And it may have looked like he was doing well in that trade, but Dr. Mundo picks up that passive heal, uses the E to heal again with the defibrillator, and just is able to sustain so much. And now he goes back, and this is going to be a massive advantage with the potions coming in against only a longsword. I feel like Terry is going to start to fall more and more behind, even just this early.
That was almost very scary for Alistair there when the Alistair Dunsey went to try to clear out some wards. If that winner's bite had landed from Eclipse, that could be huge for them. As a turret is going to land onto Dunsey, as Eclipse is going to go in, going to be able to land one shot onto the Varus, but Verticality not in the best position there, and that's going to lead to both sides backing off, but a heal getting used by Eclipse.
Yeah, we are seeing some backs come out across the map. Looks like Vi able to get some longswords, opting to go for a control ward to try and get some vision down. First Dragon's going to be Hextech. And again, looking up top here, the Mundo really doesn't care about Counter-Strike. Is able to just go in. No mana on Verticality.
And the stun landing as well. Eclipse going to get a little bit more damage on Alistar, who now has 43 to 38. Wave is slightly pushing towards lane 0's side, but they should be able to clear that up relatively soon. But Alistar is going to stay in it. They're going to try to push this lane forward and maybe try to go for a back while they clear up that minion wave.
Yeah, they're going to need some jungle intervention. It looks like they're getting it with Vi moving down. She is going to walk across Vision, though, in that tri-brush and the control ward. I don't know if they've moved back in time, though.
Oh, boy. Flash forward, flash back from Dunsey. Really nicely done there. I love that. I love that for this Alistar. Dunsey, I think, having a decent game as well, as Hazem going to go in for the unstable concoction. Flash forward from Terry Tinkle. They want to secure this one, but Hazem's health regen is just too big. They'll just walk right out of that.
No flash this time, though, so he can't go for anything fancy. Doesn't have the Grasp of the Undying stacked up either. I just hope we don't see some sort of botched turret dive. Dopa did roam up, but they decide not to go for it. Hazem is just going to collect these minions under the turret. We are going to see the back come through from Terry. Able to get that Sheen, so he isn't going to be able to get away with that little health. Next time, Dunsey charging up the Hex Flash.
Oh, going to be able to get the knock up on it. Never saw. Big Emperor's Divide for the Azir. She's going to be able to get out, and now Eclipse is going to find Dunsey out from that one. Winner's Bite will land. The stun is going to come through. Neversaw's going to be able to get a little bit more damage onto the Alistar. Dunsey's going to go right back in. The root's going to land onto the Azir, and now Dopa's in trouble. Dopa goes down. That was just way too much from the agency. They should have just backed away, but instead they give lane 0 their second kill, and now they can go for Dragon.
I mean, never saw it, just styling on them. No fear. The full Alistar combo comes in. Broken is waiting to use the Rek'Sai Unburrow for the knockup, but doesn't time it right, and Neversaw takes the opportunity to push out, use that Emperor's Divide, doesn't even use Flash, just completely calm and collected. Then following up, I mean, Azir at this point doesn't have a ton of damage, so they weren't able to really catch Dunsey, but they are able to get the kill onto Dopa. That gold goes into Archer's pocket. And if this Vi gets accelerated, no one on the map is going to be safe. If Vi can pick up an early first completed item, there's so much damage is going to come out, and Dopa has no ability to escape other than Flash. Jax is pretty tricky to track down, but once that Void Hop is used, you can really lock him down. Obviously, Varus has no way to get out other than using their flashes. So things can get really scary on the map here.
Void Grub's going to get taken by the agency here. Going to give that siege damage inevitably over to Terry Tinkle, who will be able to do some work, and we're going to see the collapse onto Hazem. Does have the ultimate available. Are they going to be able to get out? No, they will not. That's going to be a kill for Terry Tinkle, and now the agency is going to try to get some siege damage here in the top lane, using those 3 Void Grubs to good effect. Broken, though, going to get hit by the cease and desist, and that's going to be a kill for Neversaw, their first of this game.
That's huge, trying to accelerate this Azir. Perfectly executed tower dive, though. Dopa just uses the Realm Work to get everyone in and then utilize all the damage as the Corrupting Chains do come in.
And now Alistair could potentially be in trouble. Winner's Bite's going to land on the Dunsey. Half HP on the Varus. Eclipse not able to get much more out of that. So Verticality and Eclipse use both of their ultimates. Don't know if they really got what they were looking for, though.
Yeah, just trying to push this lane in, trying to get it under the tower and just get out. I don't know when the last time Verticality backed was, but want to get this tower or this wave pushed under tower so that they can back, get some items, and get back out onto the map. Looks like they're going to have to be staying down here. Probably don't have enough gold to do much. Does have the tier in the Sheen, so Ezreal's at a very strong point. I do want to go back up to that top tower dive. They execute it perfectly, are able to get the kill on Hazem and get it into Terry's pocket. Just try and start accelerating the side lane that this Jax can bring. But just a good response by LZB, able to move Archer and Azir up to that top side and able to pick up the kill onto Broken. Get this Azir accelerated as the Unleashed teleports come out.
And I mean, Hazem, I think, doing pretty good on this Mundo. Did get that death onto Terry Tinkle, and both of these sides A little bit of CS advantage onto the Jax, but Lane Zero, they've got that kill on Neversaw. They've got that kill on Archer. Hunting guys already completed. Dopa, 200 stacks on that Tear of the Goddess. And both teams, I think, are waiting. They're patiently waiting for some of their agents to really come online here, Jack. If Verticality doesn't start getting kills, this could be a big problem for Lane Zero if they aren't able to get things moving.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing a bit of an interesting situation. Broken gets stopped here.
Okay, Alistair going to land the Chains of Corrupt onto Eclipse, and the double going to come in from Dopa and Neversaw. Root's going to land, and there comes the teleport from Dopa as well. Now going to come in. Dunzy's going to fall. Big Emperor's Divide. A lot of damage onto Eclipse. A lot of damage onto Neversaw. But Dopa and Archer going to get stunned. Root's going to land onto the Vi. Archer going to be dangerously low as Alistair's going to be able to land the swipe. Realm Warp going to get everyone back into the fray. Broken's going to be able to get the shutdown onto Archer. But did the Realm Warp get denied by Dopa? That's multiple kills against the agency.
Oh my god, it's so difficult to even truly understand what just happened there, but they all convene on the bottom side. Archer was hovering, thinking something was going to happen. Broken went for the knockup, but gets knocked up himself by Braum and his ultimate, and then the TPs come in, just everyone flies forward, utilizing everything in their kits, but in the end, Eclipse gets sniped out by Alistair. Archer gets jumped on by the Rek'Sai. And, I mean, it went about as well as it possibly could have for the agency, considering at the start of that, they ended up getting most of their CC blocked by Braum ult. I mean, these guys are locked in. They know that this is the final game that they get to play before we go into the playoffs. Lane Zero Blitz know that if they don't perform in this game, there will be no playoffs for them. It is tense.
A late back from Verticality. Let's see what they pick up. It is going to be that Triforce coming in, as Terry Tinkle's going to put a lot of damage onto that tier 1 tower. Hazem going to put Terry Tinkle into a bit of a scary situation here. Grandmaster of Arms comes in, and now here comes Broken and Dopa. Hazem, though, going to be able to get back under the minions here. As Drake gets taken by Lane Zero, Agency will take some of the Void Grubs as the turret will finally go down into the top lane. The Oceans will bring life, and Jack, you win this series of the Dragon Draft with that Ocean Soul coming back.
I mean, that's what I do. That's why I was brought into Aegis, is to win these Dragon Drafts.
Yes.
But I think right now, if I were Lane Zero Blitz, this might sound counterintuitive, I actually kind of want to take the foot off the gas a little bit. You're seeing how capable the agency are of collapsing onto side lanes with the Ryze Rek'Sai combo. I think you want to try and leverage your scaling. The Ezreal has the Triforce, has the Tear of the Goddess already stacking. He's going to be able to farm forever. Eclipse can get out onto the map and try and provide some stability so that Azir, I know Azir has a ton of gold put into this already, as the Leandri's first, going to be building towards that Nashor's Tooth surely, but we want to create as few opportunities as possible for the agency to continue snowballing some of these champions.
Speaking of snowball, Rod of Ages picked up by Dopa. 0, 2, and 3, but did pick up that Rod of Ages. 11 minutes, about par for the course, I believe. As the root is going to land onto Archer. Archer going to be able to get away, and now Neversaw's going to come in. The Emperor's Divide is going to... Who gets completely caught out of this one, and Dopa just does not have enough damage quite yet to be able to make that play favorable for the agency, as Glacier Fish is going to get topped in by Eclipse. Terry Tinkle going to now be in a rough spot all alone, and Lane Zero will take out 2 members of the agency as the fight in the bottom lane continues. Alistair going to be able to avoid that winner's bite from Eclipse. The Unbreakable is now denied. Alistair does not have the Chains of Corruption, and both sides, I think, possibly needing to back away. Verticality gets another Arcane Shift into the Varus. Another bit of damage onto Alistair. Realm Warp coming in from Dopa. Oh no, not going for the root. They weren't even full HP. Eclipse might try to go for a winner's bite, as Neversaw's going to be here as well. Careful, careful. They will be able to get back under tower, but this could be a dive.
I mean, Dopa, it cannot be understated how important that roam was. The fully stacked lethal tempo on Ezreal has plenty of mana that could have easily been a double kill for the Ezreal. But now, Eclipse is caught in a strange spot. Everyone is bottom lane. We're going to have another bottom lane 4v4.
Oh boy, Alistar, great barrier to be able to avoid dying there. A little bit of damage onto Verticality, a little bit of damage onto Eclipse, but no mana left on the Ezreal, no health left on the Varus, and both sides weighing their options. What are they going to do next? Dunzy's extremely low. Dopa's at half HP, and the agency's going to have to back off the minion wave pushing forward. Another tower is going to go down, this time to lane 0.
Really smart rotation by lane 0 Blizzard. They know that the only real options without, you know, being able to push back on agency side is Ryze scaling and on-hit Varus scaling. Because once Varus gets this Guinsoo's that they're building towards, it's all tank items from there. You know, Terminus is, you know, somewhat tanky, and then you get into that Jack Show or that Hull Breaker. Once you get to that point, the Varus does so much damage and is so difficult to kill. So you want to put all these members bottom side to prevent that scaling as much as possible. Dunzy might be caught out here, has the passive on.
And the ultimate Unbreakable pops, and a teleport's now going to come in from Dopa to make this another fight. And now Dopa could potentially be in trouble. Glacial Fissure used by Eclipse, and the Rift Herald could be a prize for whatever team wins a team fight, but very low health bars on Dunzy, on Terry Tinkle. Half HP can be dangerous. And where is Alistair in the mid lane? They might have to give up this Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to give it up. Varus is looking to just grab some farm, wants to continue to try and get to those item break points. It's really difficult right now to skirmish with just the champion difference. You see Vi has the Sundered Sky, Rek'Sai, a lot less damage output with that Sunderer tower. I mean, it's stacked up. Counter-Strike's going to come out, but they might be able to just kill him under tower.
And they will be able to do so. Hazen pops the be just fine, and another tower will go down. That is the outer lane structures falling, which is going to open up the rift a little bit more for Archer and Neversaw and Verticality to go for some fun flanks. Unfortunately, the timing of that Rift Herald take wasn't the best for the agency, and so they weren't able to get the dragon scot-free, and now Alistair could potentially be in trouble. Has to pop the Chains of Corruption to ensure that Neversaw can't go for a nice Emperor's Divide. And now we've got a agency all over the place, and a teleport's going to come in from Hazen. It's going to be a 5v something, as the Rift Herald's still going to be taken out by Alistair, which could mean that lane 0 could go for the dragon. Another teleport coming in.
This is huge. No flashes on the carries.
Knock-up landing onto Eclipse. Knock-up landing onto the Vi, and the Vi goes down. Shut down onto Archer. Eclipse, 5-man knock-up for the Glacial Fissure, followed up by a great Ezreal ultimate, but not enough damage quite yet to take multiple members out, as Hazen's going to be able to take out Alistair. Verticality could be in trouble. No, it's Verticality that dies. Yes, they are in trouble, and a shutdown goes to Broken, and a huge win for the agency.
So much patience exhibited by the agency. They wait for the perfect moment. Everyone is retreating, and they find Archer. I was so nervous. There's no flash on Ryze. There's no flash on Alistair, but they find their moment and execute the Vi, and the follow-up is perfect. They do not flinch in the face of the Glacial Prism, or the Glacial Fissure in that choke point, and now Chasm just takes it right in front of her.
Yeah, no smite on Broken. That is a rough spot to be in if you're the agency. After a huge fight win, you end up giving third Drake and soul point contention for lane 0 at 24.5 minutes, right before Baron is spawning. Otacon might even still be up. And Ocean Soul for lane 0, any soul is a big deal, but Ocean Soul, massive deal for the mana bars on lane 0.
And for the health bars of Mundo and Vi going in, Braum is going to be so tanky behind that shield. I mean, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but Hazen might have just saved the game, because another team fight like that, and this Ryze and Varus gets so accelerated. But now, for the Otacon fight, if there is one, no flash on Varus or Ryze still. And Vi's going to have that ultimate. Those two are going to be sitting ducks as the Corrupting Chains do come in.
A lot of damage onto Eclipse, who's now caught out. Going to go down. Turret will fall, but a power play for 30 seconds for the agency.
I mean, this is going to be so tight. The Mundo is going to be so tanky, and I don't know how long it will take for Terry Tinkle to take him down. The Rek'Sai won't have a chance. Varus is going to need so much uptime and is only going to have 2 tank busting items once the Terminus comes in. Ryze is going to be able to stop him at all, building no magic penetration at the moment, going for Boots of Swiftness to help that early game roaming. I mean, these team fights, I know we said it, you said it at the beginning of the night, that it always comes down to execution, but I really feel like both drafts have enabled these teams to get exactly what they want, and it is going to just come down to who wants this game more, who wants to end the regular season on a more defining note.
Nova races Autocon though, so it's not the most valuable prize on the Rift, but the clock is ticking until that next soul or that X-Dragon comes in, a potential Ocean Soul for the agency, as Dunsey gets punished for an aggressive back 30-second power play for lane 0 as Broken and Terry Tinkle are going to go up against Hazem. Ultimate popped. Hazem's going to be relatively low, and the shutdown Broken's going to be able to get the execute, but are they going to be in trouble themselves now? They're going to get stunned, and that's going to be a kill for them, finally. Yes, Verticality will pick up their second of the game to make it a 2-for-1 play in favor of lane 0.
I mean, both teams are employing the exact same strategy. They're trying to push out their side lanes, trying to keep mid lane pushed, and both of them overload the top side. They're able to find the pick early on Dunsey. They answer with a pick on Hazem, but they use so much that once they recollapse, Broken just goes down. He has a lot of sustain on the champion, able to burrow, and Rek'Sai, she just heals up so much, but in the end, because of the timing on those kills, Ruinous Otacon will go over the lane 0 Blizzard. They will get all those flowers, and I'm looking to see the XP difference has somewhat materialized, a level up in top and jungle and 2 levels up in that support role. I mean, this is really close. The only major permanent advantage I see on the side of the agency is they do have all 6 Void Grubs and great siege with the Varus. If they're able to pick up even 1 Baron buff, the amount they could take off of it could end the game, because Varus on hit can siege so well.
And now another fight in the top lane. Hazem has so much health and maybe trying to delay it, as a flash is going to have to be used by Terry Tinkle. Pit, but here comes Broken, so they will not go for any further fights. Eclipse going to be taking a little bit of damage from Dopa, who is now indeed a threat. 2, and 5, 10 stacks on that Rod of Ages, but nothing happening as of yet, as the next dragon is now spawning in 45 seconds, and as I stated earlier, 30 seconds after that, we're going to see the Baron spawn. Lane 0 could just decide to opt to go for Baron and have that power play for 3 minutes.
I needed to see what items are being picked up by Varus, because right now is a perfect time to establish some vision. They have the fast track, they have the mid push, they have the bot push, they have everything they want, but they opt to back, only picking up a recurve bow, nothing picked up by Ryze. Yes, and the ward, that will be important, but I think that should have been a moment for them to establish vision and grab control, because 10 seconds, this is not something you can afford to give up as well as you're doing in these fights. If you go with Ocean Shoal, that's going to be the game.
Glacial Fissure does not land on anybody, and now Dope is going to try to get some damage. Broken goes in themselves, going to try to get some damage on. It never saw Verticality. Not enough, they're going to get stunned, and they might go down. Broken extremely low. They are going to try to walk out. Dunsey dies. Hazem goes down. They get a 1-for-1. Terry Tinkle going to try to come through. Emperor's Divide. Double kill for Alistair on the Varus, as now Dopa falls. It's Broken and Alistair against 3 members of lane 0. Alistair trying to be able to avoid what they can. Knockup's going to land from Broken and try to give Alistair a chance. Quadra kill for Verticality. Pentakill! A first pentakill on stream here at the AML Winter Split. It goes to Verticality on the Ezreal.
In the first games we cast this season, Verticality didn't have his best series, and he is showing why we should have never doubted him. The pentakill comes through. The first pick they made on red side was Ezreal, and this is exactly why, because he can take over games. Such incredible poise shown in that fight. Broken goes in, and they don't kill him after so much. They miss the glacial fissure from Braum, but they stay composed, and they wait until the perfect moment. And once they catch out Terry, all they have to do is stand behind Braum, and all of their damage is not able to be answered. In incredible fight. Ocean Soul secured, and now they can move on to Baron with little threat.
A 2,000 gold advantage for lane 0, as like you said, the Baron is now available. They have the Ruinous Autocon buff as well, so they have a little bit of an extra advantage from that. Archer going to try to go in, going to get knocked up, and Archer's going to be put onto the side of the blue buff. Glacial Fissure going to miss once again, as Dope is going to go for the Roam Warp onto Eclipse. Eclipse is going to fall. Dope is going to get hit by the season assist from Archer, but they're still alive as Terry Tinkle, Dunzi, and Broken are going to go in. Archer's extremely low. Terry Tinkle's going to be able to take out the Vi. Can Broken stay alive? A huge Emperor's Divide from Neversaw.
Another
massive plays as we got a triple kill for Verticality, and that just might be it here, Jack. Massive plays from the mid laner and the ADC from lane 0.
I mean, what incredible team fights back to back. Lane 0 Blizzard will not be done here. They want into the playoffs. They want the league. This was such an incredible performance. They want more. They want to show us more in this game. They are going to back and try and pick up this dragon. Vi has just respawned. What a beautiful Shurima shuffle. Neversaw held onto it for so long, and they just waited and waited. Verticality with an incredible ultimate. Like I said, the patience these guys are showing. I can't stress this enough. They are win and in. If they lose this game, their year here in the, or their split is done, and they have no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Neversaw. I think in the week 1 matchup when we saw their Azir, they were able to pop off as well. But shout out to Verticality, 11-1-6, just able to stay protected in these engagements. And the critique that I've been seeing in this series for the agency is that when these team fights start, they are not happening on their terms. It's lane 0 that is initiating them. And it always seems like they are the ones that are split up. They're not able to coalesce onto a single champion, and that's good. And then once they do, Neversaw comes in with the Emperor's Divide, and now with the Baron power play completed here for lane 0, they've got 2.5 minutes remaining on that. Let's see what they decide to go for here to end this one. If they can end it, it does look very good for them at this point.
I mean, it's just a very low damage comp at the end of the day. The Rise is never going to provide you that much burst. The on-hit Varus, the Jax needs uptime. There's so much required for them to win these fights, and there's just so much tankiness on the other side. Even right now, they're going to try and use everything to kill Hazem here.
And they do have some grievous wounds, so Hazem is going to be in danger. And can they get this Mundo? Oh no, they have to wait even longer to get out Aegis, who takes such time to die, which gives the agency the opportunity to pick up that inhibitor in the top lane. And now they may try to be looking to go for the escape. Azir's turret is now up. Azir's gonna go in. Neversaw not landing that Emperor's Divide. 3-man stun coming in for Terry Tinkle. And now it's lane 0 that's separated. Neversaw's gonna be forced to go golden. Dunzi's going to be able to keep everyone else in check as Neversaw goes down. Eclipse is gonna get stunned. Terry Tinkle gonna try to do what they can to get even more CC. No, they will go down. Archer gonna flash away. Verticality is legendary. Verticality is still a problem. As Archer comes through, Doba and Alistair trying to finish the job. Yes, they do. Verticality falls, and it's an ace for the agency. This game is not over yet.
Not even close. They just brush off the last 2 fights. They don't care. They're able to stand in for so long, get so much damage out. Without the Mundo present, they have no front line, so all of their damage is met with the equal want to stay alive and continue dealing it. Verticality does not have the privilege of getting to stand behind Braum for much of that fight. Neversaw goes in and is not able to pick up Dopa with that Shurima shuffle, and now Vi, she has so much sustain, but able to be matched by the Rek'Sai, so no more Baron buff. Everyone still has the Ocean Soul, obviously, but we are now at a point where the Terminus is on Varus. He's starting to do more damage and have more uptime. Jax with these counter strikes have been so crucial. Dunzi has kind of gone under the radar, but the knockups, the headbutt combos from Dunzi have been so good. I mean, with the completed Leandries and with the stopwatch component for Jax, they have a lot more freedom in this fight, but it's 20 seconds till Elder. Whoever takes this, it's going to be impossible, because these team fights are not going to last as long as they have when one of these teams has a massive execute. Dopa and Hazem both have the teleport, both have the ability to join this fight, but with 2 inhibitors down, they have to answer the threat of a potential back door. So this is going to be an uneven fight right now. It's 3v4 in the Elder Pit.
I would have had Dopa here. I would have put the Jax on the side, maybe try to delay that inevitable Elder Bond. It's not going to end immediately. It's now Neversaw. He's going to get busted. Has to go golden. Are they going to be able to get more damage in? 3-man Emperor's Divide. Terry Tickle's going to try to come through again. Neversaw is going to try to get out, and they will be able to get out for now, but Eclipse is now the target. He puts a flash away. Terry Tickle's going to go golden to try to survive. Eclipse is now the target. Verticality is going to be able to take out Terry Tinkle. At another fight where I just don't think Agency knew what they wanted is going to result in Lane Zero picking up 3 members. It's Alistair and Dopa, the only 2 left. Hazem going to be down to half HP, but they've still got ultimate up. What does Lane Zero decide to do? They've got a tower in the bottom lane remaining. Inhibitors are respawning, and teleport's now going to come through from Neversaw. They're going to look to end here.
They don't have the damage to do the Elder Drake, but they don't have the minions to go for the end now. There's 28 seconds, 23 seconds left on the top side of the map. Dunzi's going to be available in 5. They have to get these waves in right now. Dopa using that Realm Warp to get behind them. He's going to cut off the minions, so there's only minions in the middle lane. But Dunzi and Alistair are going to have to clear these waves because these towers are going to melt.
Yeah, one tower's going to go down, and now Dopa's going to try to come back in. Are they going to... They will. Dunzi's going to be at half HP, not going to get that final proc of the Braum passive as the Nexus is now exposed. Tournament life on the line, and it will be Lane Zero finally able to finish the job. Another 30-plus minute contest between these 2 teams. Could have been very close for the Agency to win this game, but Lane Zero able to pull it off. Very scary situation there for Lane Zero, but at the end of the day, they get that pentakill, they get a quadra kill as well out of Verticality, who indeed popped off 45,000 damage on the Ezreal. And the, not the unsung hero, but the hero in the mid lane, Neversaw, with some huge Emperor's Divides in that contest. And I think dividing the team in what already felt like a very loose composition for the Agency was just enough for Lane Zero to be able to finish this, but it could have gone either way.
I mean, you said it perfectly in the moment. In that last fight, they bought so much time, but being a 4v4, they don't need Hazem there, but the Agency need the Rise there, otherwise they just have no damage. And I mean, as you can see, doing almost 45k damage, not having that player in the fight makes it so difficult. And I love the decision making by LZB. They say, you know, we don't have the damage to do Elder, but if we're patient, we can just take the whole game, and that's exactly what they did.
Wow, I mean, a great series from both of these teams and a must-win performance for Lane Zero. They end up taking Game 3. Once again, congratulations to Verticality for being able to get that pentakill. A very exciting series for sure. Definitely went late. With that, that's going to have to do it for us here on the stream. I do have to get going, unfortunately. But we're going to be back again next week for the playoffs. I believe they're going to be starting an hour earlier maybe not next week. Yeah, next week going to be the best of 5, so we're going to be an hour earlier in. Definitely don't miss that. Be there, be square. And also shout out to our friends at Zen Market. 1,000 yen off of your first international purchase with promo code AEGIS. Promo code Aegis, 1,000 yen off of your purchase at Zen Market. On behalf of everybody here at Aegis Esports, we'll see you for the postseason next week. Take care.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。